Welcome to another episode of Big Mike and Little Ant podcast from the Big Mike and Little Ant channel. This is episode 19, so we're just moving forward and moving along. And as you know, we're going to bring you an exciting show with lots of different topics for us to discuss and for you to leave comments about. Before I even get into it, if you like this video, please like, comment, and subscribe as usual, and check out everything on the channel. We want to definitely get right into it, but I just want to introduce ourselves. I'm Big Mike, of course.
And I'm Little Ant. And it's good to talk to you guys again on a Sunday morning.
And that's what we do the show, guys, by the way, Sunday morning. So you'll see we actually have a lot of energy, and we might not have some other shows where, wake up, get into it. It's kind of an easy breezy day. So we actually love doing this show when we do it. So, yeah. But let's get right into it. The first topic was, so we're going to do, I like to describe the show. We're going to do 10 topics, as we usually do, eight topical topics to talk about, and then a book of questions that we do, and then versus questions. So what we decided to do is, you already know we do 8 topics, but what we do is we do 4 topics apiece. So we're going to go to them in opposite order, to where his topic, my topic, his topic, my topic, just to kind of give you versatility within the topic, guys. So hopefully you enjoy that. So the first topic actually came from Ant over here, and it's pretty much about the last 3 weeks of our lives. Let's discuss the president, the election, and everything that goes along with that. So go right ahead, Ant. This is your topic.
All right, so guys, you've already been privy to this information. Right about now, my wife would get mad at me because she works for the Division of Elections, and her thing is, there's not a definite president yet until we announce who the president is. But I think right now, Mike, is it safe to say President Biden is?
Yes,
it's safe to say. I know it hasn't been, he hasn't been sworn in yet, but but I think it's safe to say. So I just thought it was something to bring up. It's a little bit late, kind of. I think everybody's like, okay, fine, we get it. But I wanted to discuss it because you know how we are. We like to bring up everything. So I wanted to kind of bring it up. And so what are your thoughts? I'm going to give mine as well, of the outcome.
Let's talk about the whole thing, not just the outcome, right? Because it was a whole process. So I want to get into, the whole, I guess, before the election up until now, like right before the election or whatever. So, we had those kind of like, first of all, we had debates, which I watched, both of them, especially that last one and whatnot. And I thought, they were very, interesting, to say the least, or whatever. I think that Trump and his, I don't want to say tyranny, that's a harsh word, but I guess his personality, his tweeting, his kind of egging on people, his kind of, being defensive all the time, things of that nature. I think it's what turned people off of him. Most of it, a lot of it. And his not overt racism, but I think it was letting people who are racist think it's okay to be racist or whatever, and not kind of putting his foot down or putting a stand in, or saying like, this is wrong to people who are being racist. That's the problem. It was never a good thing. So I think that's what happened to him. The election was crazy, but it was predicted for me. I think I said it on the Food for the Culture show. We're not going to know who the president is that Wednesday morning and whatnot. I knew that it will be a crazy part with the election and the votes and the back and forth. And I knew Trump would ultimately protest it, which he still is doing, at this point and whatnot. He's a guy who, if you know Trump, if you know his background, if you know this person like him, he don't like to lose or whatever. He's a businessman who got rich for a reason. He wins, right? So people like that, it's hard for him to accept losses in any capacity, overall. So I think that he doesn't look at it, but it goes back to him not being a real politician from the beginning or whatever. Every president, most of them, at least like 95% of them, have conceded once they know it's over. Okay, I lost. Let me concede, call Biden. Okay, congratulations, blah, blah. Trump ain't doing that. Whatever. No. And I knew he wasn't going to do that. Something like that.
Well, here's the thing. He's been a public figure for so long. So I think sometimes it wows me when people are shocked. Oh, even people who don't like him and do like him. Oh, I can't believe he said this or he did this or he did that. And it's kind of like, first of all, he's older, right? So he's set in his ways, right? And he's been like this forever. listen, he's a New Yorker. Like he's sarcastic, he's brash, like that's just the way it goes in the Northeast. And you know, so but I do agree with you. I think his personality at first, I think his personality won people over, meaning they felt okay, he's strong and he's not your typical politician, right? So he's going to do things differently. So I think people wanted him because everybody always say, oh, we don't want a politician. We want somebody to be different, drain the swamp, all that stuff, right? So I think his personality won people over. Hey, let's give him a chance. He's going to be different. This won't be business as usual. But then in retrospect, down the road, his personality pushed people away. I think people now are like, okay, we don't like this guy because he's too extra. And it's kind of like when you get in a relationship, you know, people put their best foot forward, or you may think a personality trait about them you like, right? But down the road, you're like, man, I did like that, but that's a bit, it's too much. And so I think that's the issue. But I say that to say this, let's talk about, because you guys talked about this on Food for the Culture, as far as it being the right choice or not for certain people. Like you mentioned 50 Cent, you guys mentioned Lil Wayne, you mentioned Ice Cube, some rappers who are black, right? So some people feel like, oh, why are some black people vote for Trump? Because some people feel like Trump is racist. But like you guys said on the show, these people are in a higher tax bracket. And to be honest, Trump is for the wealthy. So, you know, people can't always get mad at everybody who vote for Trump because, again, depending on your status, you might care less about him at all, but he might just be helping you keep money in your pocket. You know.
Well, here's the thing: is that I kind of turn my phone off. I kind of agree with not agree. I want to say agree. I kind of moving to my last point, right? About the reason why they didn't like him. Because of his stuff or whatever like that, his tweeting, his whatever. But the problem is that he went so far left with that. Any good that he has done, people have turned a blind eye to.
Right.
So when you go to economically what he has done, you can ask a lot of times a typical average black person about, well, what are Trump's stats as far as making the economy better than that? And I'm not saying yes or no, right? Don't get me wrong. But they won't know. They're like, yo, I don't like Trump. He said this, that, the third, or whatever, a lot of times, whatever like that. You know what I mean? It's almost the opposite of Obama or whatever like that. Because I know at least 50 people, like I know personally, who said, I don't know nothing about Obama politics. I voted for Obama because he's black. You know what I mean? I don't know what it was doing, stuff like that.
It goes to, go ahead, sorry. No, I was just going to say real quick, I was just going to say that when I voted, after I voted and I put my vote in the mail, I put a post on Facebook and I just simply said, for everyone, just my little opinion or my little advice for anyone who's going to vote, make sure you vote with logic and not emotions, you know? And some people took it however they want to take it, but I feel like that's exactly what you're saying. I'm not voting for Trump because I don't like him, I think he's racist. That's emotions. I'm voting for Obama because he's black. That's emotions, you know? So I feel like there's a lot of times that we don't pay attention to stats and we don't even know what somebody's really standing for. And Trump did a good job at making people not like him just by being him. You know what I'm saying? He could have won more votes, but.
Yeah. And I think those people who are in those economic brackets, back to your question, I feel like they're going to look deeper in it because it affects their pockets.
Correct.
And whatnot. So for them, they're like, listen, this guy, you know, I don't want to hang out and have dinner with Trump, but guess what? Well, his policies or whatever they were are will help me, you know, economically. And I've heard people say, well, you know, you got to look for the greater good or whatever. If you lose a couple more, you know, million or whatever, you got 100 million. What's two more to lose? But that's not your money. You know what I'm saying? So you can't look into stuff like that or whatever. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, but he racist, man. Like, you should be able to give up those $2 million if it's going to be that way for taxes because you want a better person in there. And again, I definitely get that speech if you're giving that. However, it's not your money. So you can't tell nobody how to think about their money. And go ahead. Yeah.
No, I was going to say, and one thing I think people also don't realize is, I could say to you right now, just pick a president pick a president you didn't like. You probably got a couple, right? Like, he wasn't really for me. Guess what? You survived. Everybody make it like if Trump is president, the country's going downhill. Well, he was president for 4 years. So my whole thing is like, he's not going to be president forever, right? It's an American right to try to become president. If you win, you win, right? I don't know about the whole Russian thing, whatever, but if you win, you win, right? So I feel like, but the president is not like we're overseas at some countries where, you know, they got a ruler, right? No, you only get 4 years, and at best you get 8, and that's it. You know, so some people are just way over the top when they go real crazy on either sides.
Like, remember my question? I don't know if you brought it on your show or not. I think I missed that one, but the fact will you take 4 more years of Trump or 1 more year of COVID and stuff like that?
Right.
You'd be surprised the amount of Black people that answered that said, "No, I'll take 1 more year of COVID. I can't do 4 more years of Trump or whatever." Right. And I'm just like, what?
Yeah.
Like, 1 more year of restrictions, and I mean, we might get another year anyway. But I'm saying at that time, if that was a choice I had to make, bro, I'll be at the movie tomorrow. Like, you know what? All right, Trump. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yes.
You know what I'm saying? So that to me is crazy. But I think his overall, you know, his personality, like we talked about, the things he does and says have rubbed people so the wrong way that they're taking it actually personally. You know, on like everyday basis, where even something like they'll take 1 more year of COVID over him, which to me is crazy. So, but to, you know, all the way back, I think those rappers, listen, if it personally helps them and affects them, I can't shun them in any type of way and whatnot. Now, again, Biden won. He's going to win, so he's going to have his opportunity and whatnot. But I think that, again, this is one of those situations where, and also we didn't talk about this part, Trump also did handle the COVID thing all wrong.
Yes.
From the beginning. So I also think that kind of was the nail in the coffin for him because it happened this year and whatnot. And I think his kind of like, you know, first of all, not believing in it, not doing things initially the right way, and led us all the way to where we're at right now. Also going to help about, because now you're like, listen, Trump obviously handled it right. The cases are all the way back up to where they were before the damn pandemic even started or whatever like that. So maybe Biden might have a better way because we know Trump way ain't working right now. So I think that's also another reason, you know, why he lost or whatever. So, and you know, I do like the fact that people voted, right? Because we need more Black people to always vote and stuff like that and whatnot. So no matter the reason why they thought they needed to, I like the fact that they did. I just hope, like, what I hope is that it doesn't take either a Black person to run like Obama or a person you hate so much because they are racist like Trump for you to vote. If they're just two regular Joe Schmoes, political candidates or whatever like that, we should be able to also look at politics and look at what they're doing, healthcare, you know, economically, defense wise, and say, okay, I can make an educated decision on who I like, not just who I hate. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's part of it as well. So hopefully we get better politically. But go ahead.
Yeah. Before we move on, let's just talk about the winner. So what are your feelings on Biden? What do you think he's going to make a lot of things that's going to be better? Or is he going to change some policies that we didn't like and make it better? What, you know, what's your thoughts on that?
Biden, I mean, a lot of people like the people who are really into politics hard, like, you know what I mean, they don't really trust Biden as well, stuff like that. Me personally, I for the here and now, I think he will do something drastic to help with the pandemic, which is always good. I think the thing about Biden is Obama did do a lot of good things, especially in healthcare and stuff, where there was Trump tried to get rid of and got rid of some. I think Biden will keep the Obama template when it comes to stuff like that. So I think he'll be great in that way. I think because of what's happened, him having his vice president, Ms. Harris, who's also Black and whatnot, I think he'll be great when it comes to race relations, you know, racism and things of that nature. So I think that's going to be a good thing. Overall, though, economically, that part I don't know and whatnot. So those are the things I think he'll be good at. The other part I don't know, but I think he will. Like, I think he knows, and I hope everybody's prepared. He's gonna shut the country down for this pandemic. Like, you know what I mean? His advisor already said it or whatnot. You know
I think he is gonna definitely try to do the opposite as Trump. And my only thing with with the Democratic Party, sometimes I feel like the Democratic Party is more about, I don't want to how to say it to not sound messed up, but to be straight, they're more about handouts. You know, I feel like it's more like, you know, you give out so much and then the taxpayer is going to pay for it. So I worry about that stuff. It's more like.
Funny you say that. Hey, go ahead. It was
No,
funny
yeah,
you say that because yesterday on Mental Theater, y'all we're talking about the movie theaters, right, at AMC and the entertainment industry. Well, what I was reading and hearing is that the entertainment industry knows what you're saying, right, about the handouts. So they're happy about Biden because they're going to look to Biden to get bailed out. You know, for what's going on right now, the movie theaters and the whole studios and everything like that. So.
Yeah, it's just it's like, you know, everything can't be free. Everything can't be lowered because people are paying for that, you know? And I feel like the Democratic Party often helps, you know, a lot of people, right? Whether you got welfare, you got all type of stuff, but people are paying for it. It's not free. So some people are getting off free. And then some people, what I don't like is when people take certain stuff and just run with it. And but that's a whole nother thing, you know, but people are paying for it. So I'm curious to see how things are going to go. But I'm all about it's people's right. He won fair. I always respect the office, right? Trump could be my president. Listen, he's the president. Some people are like, I'll never call him president. He's the president of the United States. I could care less because guess what? He ain't going to be president forever, right? I'm going to live hopefully. Well, he's pretty much out, but I'm going to live past him being president, hopefully, right? So it's like, you know, I don't have a problem respecting Biden, respecting Trump, respecting anybody who was a president in my lifetime, you know, because they
respect the office.
I respect the office. Yes.
Right. Yeah, definitely. You know, with that, you know, he wasn't going to ever be here for, you know, for forever. Like I said, man, I think we've never seen first of all, he was president in 2016, 2020, right? During the height right now, the social media era. He's able to send out tweets, be on Facebook, whatever it is and stuff like that. And he got so much coverage or whatever like that. There might have been worse people than him. I'm sure there have in the past, but you just didn't know what they were always saying or thinking more than anything because they have political advisors like, nah, we can't let you say this without having a little phone in his pocket tweeting it out. Like Trump doing everything and stuff like that. So I feel like that, you know, his stuff is not new. It's just that he just happened to be during the time period where we could see it all and stuff like that. But,
what I will say though is what he made me feel that I would prefer a politician though. So I know a lot of people want Kanye to win. A lot of you know, people want Kanye to win. People want Oprah should run. Me personally, no. I don't want no Hollywood star. Like I want somebody who's a politician because I'd rather. I know people didn't like Hillary, but I'd rather business as usual because here's something we don't talk about, right? You kind of alluded to a little bit when you said Biden will probably be better on race issues, right? Well, let's look at the other spectrum, right? We got our president, or you know, Trump's still president right now. We have our president of the United States talking about my nukes are bigger than yours. Like we could have had a World War III because he's not presidential, because he was just a New Yorker, and I'm gonna say what I want. Me personally, that could get our country in a lot of trouble. You know, and on something like that, I would have preferred, you know, some people say Obama was soft. He never wanted to, you know, say nothing to these other countries, but it's kind of politicians, you know, they say you shake hands, you kiss babies. You want to sweeten the deal. You want to try to make things where we're not going to be at a war. And maybe it wasn't the best decision sometimes. Maybe he had to be more stern, but Trump was just way over because he wasn't a politician, because he didn't understand. You don't talk like that. You don't say stuff like that. You don't get off the phone with a prime minister and then start talking trash and it's being recorded. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So, you don't want the guy who was shaving Vince McMahon head at WrestleMania.
Thank you. Yes. Yes.
You want like a real politician. Yeah, I always said that from the beginning, like, you know, and I think, like I said, we're so hatred for him so much, but those things are important to foreign policies, you know, your defense policies or whatever. So like I said, to go what I said before, like, I hope when it's Biden versus whoever, John Smith, Republican senator from Iowa, whatever, North Carolina guy, whatever like that, we still come out and vote. because we looked at the policies
yes.
and, you know, and we wanted to see who we like rather than just like, well, who's John Smith is. So, you know what I mean? Like, let's look at what we got and look at stuff like that. So, okay. Yeah. Anyway, what's next?
All right. So next is your topic. And your topic was, with 2020 being such a crappy year, name the three. So with 2020 being such a crappy year, name the 3 best years of your life and why. So that's cool for me. I'm going to try to do this. So I always remember, let me think, the summer of 95, it's crazy, it comes to my mind, was amazing. So I got married in 94. But my wife and I at the time, my ex-wife, my kid's mom, we didn't have kids yet. We had separated the summer of 95. And it was just a crazy year because like I had a bunch of friends that we was like this close. We did some of the craziest stuff. Like I'm talking about, I ended up liking some girl and it was a whole crazy story. I'm not gonna get into it, but it was just such a crazy year, but adventurous. Like a really adventurous, crazy year. And eventually I got back with my ex-wife. But that year was so crazy. I'll never forget the things that happened in that year. That was very adventurous. It was just like, dude, that was such a movie. It was like a Stand By Me type moment. Like, you know, younger people on an adventure and the craziest stuff happened. I'll never forget that year ever, the summer of 95. If I pick another year, I just have to pick when I was a kid, man. I don't know the year, but maybe I had to be like 11 or 12 with, you know, again, friends, you know, really close friends. We're riding our bikes. We used to go all the way down to Washington Crossing Park. We lived in Trenton, but we would go all the way to Washington Crossing Park. Some people walking, some people riding our bikes. We will get on these, we call it the rapids in the Delaware River. We would get on tube ends. I remember one time we got pushed out into the ocean. We couldn't, my little brother couldn't swim. We were stuck. A guy seen us with a boat, came out and got us. That stuff, just being kids, being adventurous, being crazy, being wild, just enjoying life. My mom had no clue where we was at because she's at work and we're out here stuck in the Delaware River. I never forget those times. It was, for me, it was like, wow, that was pretty awesome. And if I could pick one more year, I will probably pick, which was crazy, but I'll probably pick the first year I met my wife, when we was just friends. Like when we met, it was really, and even though I was all transparency, I was engaged to somebody else, and I did get married. But when I met my wife, it was really cool time. I was hanging out a lot, clubbing a lot, and she was just my friend. But getting to know her was really cool and know her personality. And it was kind of like, okay, you're already engaged right here and you're going off to get married, but you just met this girl and man, she's really cool. And it was like a contrast of lifestyles and me like seeing like, oh, wow. And that first year getting married and then still having her as a friend, it kind of taught me a lot of the life I was living, but the life I really wish I had. You know what I'm saying? It was interesting.
What year was that? 08, 07?
That was 2000, and that was going in from 08 to 09. I got married in 09, but I met her in 08.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
okay.
so like that year.
Gotcha. Okay, all right, that's cool. A good thing. It's funny, before I go off to mine, the part you said about the kids and Delaware River and all that stuff, whatever like that. Your parents didn't know nothing, and I'm old enough too to know, like, remember that time frame and stuff like that. Yeah. So I was just talking about this with my girlfriend now, that like it's so crazy to imagine that we will be gone for whole days, and our parents have no way to know we were either. There were no cell phones. No, no nothing or whatever like that. So it was literally just be back home by a certain time or whatever. But your whole day, that was it. They never had any idea what you did that day ever. So like that. So it's kind of crazy to think that you didn't have a way to just call, or they have a way to call you and say, "Hey, Anthony, where you at?" We'll tell you about stuff like that. Whatever. So to see that now, like, especially with somebody like you who got kids now, like your daughter went off, you'll be able to call her and say, you know. Hey, I
almost feel like in a weird way that made us more careful and made us more responsible because we didn't have cell phones. We didn't, we had to, your mom expected a lot more of you because she couldn't check up on you. So as kids, you was more mature and more responsible, I feel like kids nowadays, they're like, oh, they're getting into the crazy stuff because the phone might ring in a couple minutes. It might be my dad or my mom or something, but they just live vicariously, kind of, sort of. I feel like not, you know, I feel like kids when they was younger was a little more paid attention to what they did.
Oh, yeah,
but that's
it
a
had to
whole
be.
another.
Yeah. No topic. Yeah, matter of fact, I'm making topics for the next show or whatever like that.
Yeah.
But anyway, for me, so I got 2 topics now for the next show already. But for me, it's funny. I'll go back. I will go. Since you already said it, I'm gonna say '08 for sure because that was actually one of mine. So it's interesting that you had the
That's
same
cool.
one.
Yeah.
Summer of '08, man. It's funny because my daughter was conceived in the summer of '08.
Okay.
And stuff. She was born 2008 actually. December. She was a preemie or whatever like that. She conceived in the summer earlier of '08. So that was crazy because I was like, I remember I was going through this transition with her mother, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember that I think we were like breaking up right before she got pregnant or something like that. But anyway, that summer, man, she was actually pregnant, but we had broke up. But it was just a wild summer. Me, my man Smooth. It was just a lot of fun, a lot of girls. It was just so much going on. And then my daughter was born that year, at the end of the year, man. So I thought it was a great year for me overall. But I just remember, like you kind of said, that summer. And I remember it was like one girl that like he was messing with and started messing with me. It was just a lot going on. But it was a fun time.
I used to have a saying that was the greatest point in time in a man's life is when they're single in the summer.
Yeah. That was definitely a good time.
It's like you don't want to be single forever, but you could be single for those 3 months in the summer.
I want to go back to, like you said, as a kid, and I want to say for me it might have been 1990, I want to say 97 and whatnot. Yeah, maybe 97. I remember that year because I was probably ending my 8th grade year. So, you know, that was a 8th grade graduation, of course. But I remember I started going on college tours actually in middle school. So I remember it was this fun college tour we went on to like Maryland and DC for like 3 or 4 days, which was so much fun. And then that summer, that's when I was still going to like summer camps and overnight camps and stuff like that. So I remember we went to like this overnight camp. I say that for like I think it was the one at the choir college and stuff like that. It was like 2 weeks and whatnot. So I did 2 camps. I did one for 2 weeks and one for like another 5 weeks. And the other one was where I was doing some whitewater rafting and Delaware River and canoeing and camping and stuff like that. So much fun. But in the middle, I was also in like the Little League basketball team, which started in the spring. But the championship wasn't played until the summer. So my team got to the championship game. So in the middle, between the 2 camps, my basketball team won the championship. So it was like a great year for me
Cool.
overall. Yeah. I did a lot. So the trophy, it was just fun. So but that was a good time for me, I would say. Childhood time. And then the third one will probably be, and again, I'm excluding 2020 because, you know, 2020.
Yeah, right.
The third one was it 10 or 9? I want to say it could be 9 or 10, but probably I want to say 10. Yeah, 10 I would say. Because 10 I was with my ex-girlfriend. It's funny, I was with the girl the whole time. And we just had so much fun that year, man. Like our relationship was so much fun. And that year in particular, I think we got together at 9. So by 10, we were like into our relationship, right? So started out, we were at New Year's together, had a great time or whatever. We were going on all these comedy shows together, all these concerts and all these trips. I remember that year, 10 in particular, we drove to Charlotte to visit her sister who had a baby. We stayed down there in the sister house for like 4 or 5 days. Her sister would see the baby. And we went to the Whitewater Rafting Center, which is in North Carolina, which is crazy. And that was fun. I just remember so many trips or vacations, things that we did together leading up to like, you know, a wonderful Christmas together. So I think that particular year with her was just an amazing year. You know, overall, because of the things we did together, how much time we spent together, and it was always something. I mean, and she would throw, you know, she would throw like game nights at her house. You know what I mean? our friends have a lot of activities going on. It was just something going on almost every week with me and her. So I think that was one of the best years, I would say. Definitely.
That's cool, man.
So those are my three.
That's what's up.
Moving on forward, man. Another little ant topic, and this is about to get deep, people. This is FYI, whatever. So, what does pro-black mean to you?
Right. So I want to give people some context. So it's cool. Mike and I, we like to pick 4 questions each, right? So throughout our week, we just, you know, I listen a lot to the radio, and I get some of my topics from the news. And we just, you know, try to pull topics. So we have a friend of ours, his name is Josh Waring, and he got a bunch of different stuff. If you guys check out our playlist, Mike is actually on one of the shows every week, Poetic Charm. That's in the playlist. You know, you'll see some of the other stuff, mental theater. Well, he had a show that he was doing on Facebook, I think last week or 2 weeks ago, and I was scrolling through Facebook. I was like, oh, let me tune in. And he was talking to someone, and the guy was explaining how the black dollar, and how he, you know, want to make sure he's, you know, this was his guest was saying he want to make sure he's, you know, make sure all his money goes into black businesses, and he want to make sure he's dealing with just black people. So I was like, man, you know, that's a cool topic. So I wanted to ask you, and I wanted to add myself, what does being pro-black means to you? And so that's how you know, how I came up with the question.
I think being pro-black is just kind of like what he said, I guess, but not. I don't want to piggyback on him, but just to me, it's that highlighting black people and the black things that black people are doing, and making sure, because of the history of our country, that black people are also being able to make their way and get put up in a certain light. I think it's kind of like, and again, pro-black is not, you know, against white, to me personally, and what. Right. So again, it's what it means to me or whatever. But because I'm the guy who says, like, you know, let's just say if I'm trying to talk to a girl, right, and she has a boyfriend, just an example, or something like that, or has another guy she's trying to date, I'm the guy who's like, I'm going to put myself up and not put him down. So you're never going to hear me say, like, hey, he sucks, why you want to deal with him? No, I'm just let you know what I've got to offer or whatever. So for me, pro-black kind of similarly, it's putting the black people up, but not necessarily putting the white people down, or black businesses, or black you know, entrepreneurs, or whatever it is. So it's like, if I'm trying to buy a house and I know a black real estate person, i.e. Kamisha, right? My barber's wife, Jazz's wife, then I'm going to tell people or myself, you know, go use Kamisha and whatnot. She's a black woman who's trying to make it, who's in the real, and not, you know, a very minority percentage in the real estate field, and she's good at what she does. So I'm trying to put her up. I won't say, nah, don't use Tom Hardy because he's a white dude, or whatever. You know what I mean? I won't say that, but I'm going to try to put her up in that situation. So I guess it's just trying to, you know, get us on the same economic foot as, let's say, other races, you know, because no matter how you slice it, because of the way our country was built, and we built the country for the white people at the time, they still overall have more money than us. It's, you know, it's impossible. They got generations and generations and generations of money that's so hard to catch up to, stuff like that. So I think if you have an opportunity to help a black person get somewhere on their own, I think that's what's being pro-black. I also think it's because that's just one part of it, you know, the economic part of it. I also think it's being proud, you know, whether it's you know, you see a person who made a wonderful movie, or a wonderful, and it all goes to the same thing at the end of the day, but a wonderful movie or a wonderful TV show, or makes wonderful music, you're like, yo, that's a black dude made that. Like, you know, that's amazing, because, and it all goes back because at one point we weren't even given opportunities to write a show or write a play or write a movie or make a song, whatever like that. So it's kind of like being proud that we're able to do this, but also getting highlighted for how good we're doing it. For me, that's a pro-black.
For you.
Everybody got their own definition. Yeah, for me, I'm gonna keep saying that. Everybody got their own definitions of whatever like that. I think the other part of it is that besides the economic and just being proud, I think it's that just knowing, like knowledge of where we came from and where we are today and stuff like that. I think that's one of my biggest things too. So that's probably what I think. I'll probably got more later on, but I'll let you go.
It's interesting. So I have to explain my side, but I have to mention a little bit of my background. So my family's from Jamaica, and I never lived in Jamaica, but I was born in the United States. I was conceived in Jamaica. So my dad never even came to the United States ever. My mom and my dad was married in Jamaica. My mom decided to leave him while they were still married. She moved to New York while she was pregnant with me, had me in New York. And I went to Jamaica when I was a little kid, don't even remember it. And then when I was probably about 9 or 10, my grandma moved to the United States. And then my grandma brought a lot of traditions with her. So my grandma, she used to clean houses. And I remember my grandma, I don't want to use the term fascination, but my grandma was, how do I say this? She was very fond of white people. And I remember my grandma was like, you know, I came to this country and she had it rough. And she was like, the black people never did anything for me. It was white people that always helped me out. And she was like, so never count people out because of their skin color. You got to look at everybody the same. So I always grew up, because I was young, listening to my grandma. So I grew up, and I'm probably like the most anti-pro-black person. Like, I'm so like, just everybody's everybody. Somebody be like, oh, you black? Yo, I'm an earthling. I live on planet Earth. Like, I don't like to be categorized as, oh, the black guy. You know, you could say, Anthony, you are black. That's cool. And I am black. But I just remember my grandma, you know, and I remember growing up being like, okay, I'm gonna look at everybody the same. Now, yes, you know, I'm privy to the knowledge of how this country was built, right? I'm privy to the knowledge of racism. I'm privy to the knowledge of you know, segregation. However, I'm happy where we are, and I'm happy to see where we're going, and hope, you know, that we are going in the right direction. But I don't have a pro-black bone in my body. When I was watching the guy on Josh's show, and he was like, he want to only give to you know, the blacks, part of me was like, so I feel like, you know, if you put your line in the sand, right? So you grab your feet, you put your line in the sand, you said, I'm staying on this side, you stay on that side. To me, that's segregation, right? And part of me was like, man, in a way, it's kind of like reverse racism to a point. It's like, okay, I'm gonna make sure I only cater to blacks and not anybody else. But it's kind of like that's what happened in the past when, you know, white people with segregation, you know. So in a weird way, I was like, oh, it's kind of interesting. I do have mixed kids as well. But I do get, if I, you know, I have a friend and they're black and they're a real estate agent, then yeah, I want my friend to get it. But it's not because they're black, it's because they're my friend. You know what I'm saying? So I do understand being pro-black, but for me, I almost feel like, I don't know. I get that it's supposed to be productive, but I don't know how productive it really is, you know, because I feel like it's a whole deeper thing with you know, how primarily the black society kind of is, and what you guys talked about a little bit on Food for the Culture. Like, if the government gave out money because we felt that black people was owed money because they helped build the country, then what would they do with the money? Now, it shouldn't really matter what you do with the money, but then again, it's like, well, where are we getting? You know what I'm saying? Like, if we're given what we feel we're owed, right? So hey, let's be pro-black. Let's only help the blacks because we feel like money would never, generational wealth would never gain up to, let's say, white people. And what if out of nowhere black people was given all this money so we could be even, right? So I mean, that's a whole nother story, another topic as you guys is getting into.
Yeah.
But I just feel like yeah, for pro-black, for me, I'm not sure if it's how beneficial it is overall, because it's almost like, well, how far do we take being pro-black? Do we get to the point where we only want a black state, right? Then all right, then we just only want a black state. Everybody is just gonna be black. There's gonna be nobody else but black. So that way so all the money will be kept in the black state and everybody will be wealthy. Well, if that's the goal. So I feel like, well, that's kind of pretty much going back. Now we're going back a little bit. So how far do we take being pro-black? You know what I'm saying? Because I hear, like you said, oh, I'm not saying that don't go to Tom Hardy, but you should go to, if you can, go to this person. But yeah, I don't know how productive that would be if everybody really, if all Black people said, let's just be pro-Black. I'm not sure that's probably a good thing. So I'm not, you know, for the country.
It depends on your definition of pro-Black, but it's a lot to unpack there what you said. So here's the thing for me. I think that and I'm gonna get to your point about not being sure. But see, what I feel like is that we're not equal. We're not on equal. We're not starting the race at the same place, right?
Right.
So, you know, I think they got that meme, right? If you started at the same place, but for me, there's alligators, a tar pit, and chains for me to get to the finish line. But for you, it's like smooth sailing. But I'm never going to ever be able to beat you and stuff like that.
Right.
So because we're not at the same place because of what happened in the past, right, which we weren't living, it's almost like we have to take some part to be pro-Black to help us get to that point, because it's a trickle down effect, man. It's like if we can build our businesses, give ourselves more jobs, get in higher political positions, get in higher positions in Hollywood and stuff like that, then we can help out each other. As long as they are the ones in complete overall power, kind of like Nick Cannon got fired from, you know, the Wild and Out show because it's the Jewish people who run BET, Viacom, whoever you want to call it, whatever like that. Then at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how great Nick Cannon was. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, but I think, but we have to. So that, I mean, that's a good point. But it's also, you can't negate what he said, right? So it's like, okay, was it reasons to be fired? You know what I'm saying? Now, you know that. So it's always that too, because if he owned his own network, and that'd be like Harvey Weinstein owning his network, but doing bad stuff to women and getting away with it because he owned it, right? Eventually, over time, they was able to, you know, to get him up out of there. But he was so powerful, he owed it. So to be fair, is like, okay, well, is what he said, was it warranted to get fired? Is that's
it was fireable because of who his bosses was, right? He was talking about the Jewish community and his bosses were Jewish. So yes, it was fireable for them. They'll be like, yeah, if a Black dude was, you know, working for me and they're like, I hate Black people. What? You know what I mean? It's the same situation. So yeah, I get it. But so yeah, it was fireable offense because of that. But if it was a Black network, then it would. But that's, I guess my point is.
I'm just saying. You know.
Yeah, I mean, because of who they were, though. So if they were who they were, he wouldn't have been fired.
Yeah, but that's like telling your kid, listen, you know, you could get away with certain things as long as you know what to do, you know? I mean, it's still
kind of lost me there a little bit.
No, because you're saying if it was a Black network, he wouldn't have been fired. But it's like, even if I own the network and you're like, I hate Spanish people, but it's a Black network and I'm Black, it's like, dude, that's still not right. So you're making it like, if it was a Black network and he said, I hate Jews, they'd be like, I mean, you're Black anyway, they're Jews, whatever.
I mean, he didn't say I hate Jews. I don't want to misquote him, but I will say that they might suspend him more. They might say, you know, that's not cool with him. What I'm saying is that they might still chastise him without firing him, is what I'm saying in that regard. But if you say I hate Jews, he didn't say I hate Jews, by the way.
Yeah,
but
he said, he said Black people had a harder struggle than Jews.
Right, but two Jews, you know, you're getting fired. There's no way around it. Like that, where a Black person might say, because it happens all the time now. They do it themselves. When the white person, right, and it's the problem. This is why it's unequal. When white people say certain things about Black people on white networks, we see it. That's why we get upset. They wind up getting suspended or slap on the wrist or whatever it is, where we wind up getting fired. That's what the issue is, or whatever. But that's that issue. But I guess it's like I said, we're not starting at the same place. So it's the only way we're going to get at least close to being equal is if we put the money back in our own communities.
But let me ask you a question. Are you saying equal as far as financially? Is that what this would be? Because I feel like it's not a competition. Like, I feel like history is history, right? You could take you could look at, take the Jewish thing. You watch the Passion of Christ. You'd be like, whoa, they went through a lot. I mean, you could take anybody who went through a lot. So the thing is, I don't feel like it's a competition. History is history. Like, we can't negate history. Like, history has brought us where we are, but I feel like people are trying to unwrite certain things. It's the luck of the draw. You know, like, if there is a God, right? God put us here for a reason. He allows certain things to happen. So I feel like you can't just erase what God allowed to happen, right? We have like our history is what it is, right? So it's not a competition. Like, oh man, we got to do so much to be even and catch up. It's like we have to do so much to be an individual and do good things for the world and the world prosper together, you know. But I feel like separation isn't the way. Again, that's just my opinion. But
so to answer your question, you asked me, yes, it's fine financially.
Okay, financially. You want to be equal financially.
Equal on financial footing in some ways. You know, like we talk about Tyler Perry with the airport, right? And on our show, Food for the Culture.
Yes. Yep.
He's got a lot of money and whatnot. And the hope is that, yes, he puts the money back in the Black community and hires, you know, Black people to help him with those skills and whatnot. You got to think, bro. And what we don't see, it's kind of like with the hospital with the COVID. What we don't see is what's happening. You know, and narcissism, you know, people who are, I won't say narcissism, but people who are hiring people with equal qualifications, but because they're white and not Black. It's been going on for 20, 30 years and whatnot. Maybe longer than that. But
let me ask you this.
Yeah.
So if Tyler Perry, because this was really interesting when you guys were talking about it on the Food for the Culture. So if Tyler Perry have build an airport, you know, like E Money on the thing was saying that yes, expected for him to hire all Black people, but I feel like that's pretty silly. Because I feel like if Tyler Perry's Black and he builds an airport, then everybody he hires should be. If that ain't the definition of racism, I don't know what is. And but if you ask pro-Black people, they would be like, "What are you talking about? He's just giving back to the Black community." I'm like, so if all white people built the airport and it was all white people, we would be outraged. So I feel like two wrongs don't make a right. It makes no sense doing the same thing someone else did, but trying to say it's a positive.
Yeah, I agree. It shouldn't be all, but I'm saying if you look at the percentage of airport employees now, it's majority white, right? So where all the Black people, what are they doing with the guys with the same skills as those guys? So I'm saying maybe he can get a majority Black, like those white airports have right now, or whatever. That to me is equal. That's not.
Well, I think what I will say, and I agree with, maybe they should do like colleges. So you know, certain colleges have a certain percentage of race, right? So they don't want it to be primarily too many white people, right? They don't they want to have a certain amount of Asians. Like that's what I agree with. But I don't want it to be Tyler Perry has an airport and so he has to have 98% Black.
No, I don't agree with that. I never did. You know, I asked the question, but I never actually answered it myself. But on Food for the Culture, but no, I never did. But they gotta be 98%. But I think he can take a stronger look at those Black resumes and stuff like that and whatnot. And it's what he does, right? I mean, it's what he's been doing for years. So it would be, I guess, on brand for Tyler Perry, right? He's got a studio, got mostly Black employees now. He's got his place. They're all Black people in there now, whatever like that. So I guess if he didn't do majority Black people, people would be surprised. That's what he's been doing for 20 years.
People would be surprised. People would be outraged.
I mean,
not surprised.
But would they be outraged because he's Black or because it's different than what he's been doing? You know what I mean? Like you always said, I can respect you if this is what you do and whatnot. And I understand who you're going to be, what you're going to do. When you start doing some new stuff, I'm like, wait, now all of a sudden
but I think making a movie and having a cast, right? So like a film is a film, right? So you remember Soul Food, right? Like you have an all Black cast because it's about a Black family. That's a movie. That's fictional, right? It's a show, right? It's supposed to depict a certain lifestyle. But an all Black airport, that's different. That's not a movie. This is reality.
You know me, I'm a background person. I'm talking about the actual employees of the studio or whatever like that, not just people in the movie. Like he helps to bring Black jobs. So that's what I would say. Help bring Black jobs. I'm not saying all Black, but let me go back to what you were talking about. So I think that now, to your point, and I had this conversation on my way to Baltimore, I think, with my kid. Yeah. So actually, I would say it's interesting because segregation was real, right? And it's interesting because we fought as a Black people to integrate the schools, right? It's very interesting. But then come full circle, we want us only to be with ourselves, date ourselves, which I'll get into the next topic, date ourselves. Like you said, put money into ourselves, only with ourselves. So I'm like, why do we want it to be segregated? I mean, I'm gonna integrate it, but then go back and want to segregate. So that was a question I had. So I definitely see what you come in there because it kind of doesn't make logical sense. It's almost like, no, we want to sit at the table, but when would we want to sit there? Like, it's kind of like, you know, weird to me or whatever. In that
well, because my only point is I get it, right? I'm not saying I don't get it, but long term, I don't think it'd be beneficial because technically it's going to do what was done to us, right? So if we want to be integrated, but now we want to be separated or segregated, then if it the long term, then what does it turn into? A country of Black people? It's going to go from a neighborhood to a county to a state to a country to a continent. I mean, that if that isn't, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. How far does the rabbit hole go?
I think it's almost
because we're trying to catch up.
I think it's almost like I said, man, putting money back into the Black neighborhoods, Black dollars, and maybe just taking an extra look, right? You know, if you can, like, and that's why I think it kind of boils down to. Yes, you may look outside and can see Tom's mechanic shop right there, right? And you know, it's owned by Tom Hardy, the white guy, whatever like that. But it's like, I wonder is there another one that's like maybe like 2 feet down, but sometimes we don't do that. That's what I guess happens or whatever like that. Right. That we only go for the most convenient one we know, right? And say, you know what, there's a Black, and you might hear the barbershop next day, you know, it was a Black mechanic shop like right around the corner from Tom's that you could have went to and whatnot. And you're like, you know, and he might do better work than Tom, or they might do equal work. So the real question is that if both mechanics do equal work for the same price, you as a Black person, who are you choosing?
I guess, I mean, it depends. If I'm just driving down the street, I guess whoever I see first, you know.
Okay. See,
yeah, because in that question, it's like, for me, I'm like I said, I don't have I'm a everybody's person. So if I drove down the street and seen the black, oh man, my tire is low, you know, my light's showing, I only have 13 psi and it holds 40 psi. I'm driving down the road. I need to get to a mechanic or a gas station. Oh look, this Gerard Jenkins gas station. I'm pulling in. If I drove down the street and seen Tom Hardy's first, I'm pulling in. If I knew Gerard's was 2 feet up, but Tom Hardy's here, I'm pulling Tom Hardy's. Like, I need air in my tires. That's me.
And I guess, so I guess we could boil down to that. That's the difference, right? Pro-Black would be these two people have the equal product for the same exact price on the same exact work. But I'm going to try to go to the Black person to help them out a little bit more. Gotcha. I don't, and I think that's really what it boils down to and whatnot. So, not even like, now what you're saying is right. If you keep going in the same direction, it could lead to a even worse form of segregation. And there's deeper stuff like that I don't like or whatever, because I do like things equal. I was more Martin Luther King than Malcolm X, if you want to, you know, hold down like that. When, you know, when I don't like, I like fairness or whatever. And I know that we started from behind, but right now it's okay to be fair. Because we're behind. I do want to put more Black dollars into our stuff or whatever like that. But however, when you see shows like I remember BET had a show, and they still might have it, called Black Girls Rock, where they celebrate Black girls, stuff like that. And I'm like, yo, that's cool. But if there was a show called White Girls Rule, like, it would be an outrage. Like CBS or some shit called White Girls Rule. I was like, that would not fly. So I feel like that, you know, I like equal, is what I'm saying. I don't feel like it's like, you know, it shouldn't be like, you know, one than the other. But moving on forward.
Okay. And moving on forward, I was going to say one last thing, but I'll let it go. Moving on forward.
It goes together. So that's why I want to move on forward.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah. So this was your topic. And I like how we're reading each other's topics. Kind of cool.
Yeah, me too.
But this was your topic. Number 4 is, can you be pro-Black and date outside your race? So let me say this real quick. I was about to say, I have a daughter who her mom is white. So she's mixed. She's Black and white. So it's interesting for people who are mixed and how they're going in the world. Like, my daughter has times where she's like, her friend said she only looks white. I'm like, your friend's silly. You got bigger lips. Like, you definitely don't only look white. Then you have some friends that's like, oh, are you mixed with white? So it's interesting, but it kind of ties into your question, because can you be pro-Black and date outside your race? Wow, that's interesting. For me, I guess maybe I might be taking it too far, but I feel like you can't. But that's interesting, because when I hear people that sound pro-Black, anybody I know who sound, or I think sounds pro-Black, I feel like they're so extra. And I feel like if the same guy seen on Josh's show, maybe this might be wrong, but I don't know the guy and only watched maybe 5 minutes. But that guy who I heard saying like, oh, I'm keeping the black dollars with the black people. If I seen him with a white girl or Spanish girl, I'd be like, yo, hold on. Because I feel like sometimes people make this so extra about, being pro-black that it would almost be like, that's like an oxymoron. It almost doesn't make sense. You're pro-black, but now you got a white girlfriend? Like, wait, what? You only want to spend your dollars at Gerard's Jenkins gas station with your white girl in the car. Like, I'm confused. So I guess my answer is, I feel like I almost, again, and I'm not the pro-black guy, so maybe for me, I'm not looking at the right way. Maybe it could be, oh, I'm only pro-black with my dollars. But when I look at pro-black, that's why I brought it up. And watching a guy, it just seems like it's almost like reverse racism to a point. So I feel like it would be strange, the pro-black guy with the white girl. That wouldn't even make sense to me. So.
Yeah, I asked this question because I seen these on IG about it was actually about a month ago now, but I never got a chance to ask him about food for the culture. And when you brought the black topic, this is perfect actually. So Donald Glover, right? From the show Atlanta, blah, 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 played Spider-Man's uncle, all the stuff, whatever like that. Well, he's the guy who made the song, This Is America, and stuff like that. And he's very pro-black, and he made a whole song talking about racism in America, and blah, 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 and all this other stuff. And won some awards and anything like that. And he got the show Atlanta, which is also a show about a black guy in the hood in Atlanta, blah, blah, this and that. And then a show like 2 weeks ago that he's got like, I think his girlfriend or whatever is pregnant with their like second baby. It's like a white girl and whatnot. And it was like, wait, what? You got a white girl? So it's like very confusing to people, not because he's a black guy with a white girl, but because he's a black guy, like you said, comes off as so pro-black,
right?
And then it got a white girl, and I think it was like another person, another celebrity too. I saw that with, and it made me think, like, well, can you be that way? And I guess to your point, yeah, it doesn't really make sense because like you're not, like your message is not what you're living, almost a little bit and stuff like that.
Now, on the positive side, I feel like I like that because if your message is like you said, you was just talking about black dollars. So if your message could be, oh, I'm not racist, like don't get it twisted. I'm not racist. I don't want segregation, but I feel like we, trying to catch up, if we could help put black money into black businesses. But yeah, I like everybody. My girlfriend, my wife is white. So that to a positive standpoint, that would be cool. But it's almost like when I hear pro-black, it's not relayed that way. And I feel like a lot of people who say they're pro-black want to be like, oh, I'm pro-black, so I wouldn't have a white girlfriend. But it would be nicer if it was more softer tone or more understanding of like, oh yeah, I'm pro-black as far as like, I'm driving down the street, there's Gerard's place, there's Tom's place, I'm gonna go to Gerard, but yeah, I could date a white girl, and it sounds a little like, wait, what? But it would be nice if it could be broken down and represented in a way that it would fit and make sense. But for me, it kind of doesn't make sense.
Yeah. And it's crazy because, I agree with you. And when you see it, it's the shame of it all is it kind of like when people, especially celebrities, right? When they look at the people who are, very, very pro-black, and then they see the celebrity who's very, very pro-black, and they stand by him or her, and they look at him as almost like this beacon of a black community. And then he comes out with a white girl. It's kind of like, I guess it disappoints them a lot. Like, damn,
right, it does. And for my point, that's what I feel like. That's my point, because it's like, or is it reverse racism? Is it just because if you're gonna get mad because that black person was dating somebody white, then that's not the way. That's not the way. You know what I'm saying? So, but it's almost seemed like that's if you're pro-black, then yeah. And I feel like I don't know.
And that brings up what I was saying before. So in general, if somebody dates somebody white, I have no problem with it. I have no problem regardless or whatever like that. But I can see somebody having more of a problem if you are the person who's always black, whatever like that. And I can see how that's like, it's kind of contradictory, bro. Like, yeah, you pro-black, but you're not procreating black, right? Only.
Right, that too. Yeah, and that might be the biggest thing of all, right? If you pro black, that should trump the money and everything, because that's really how you're going to continue to have the black society live on. You know?
Yeah. And to your daughter's point, man, yeah, I've seen that for people for forever, where like, you know, when they're mixed race kids, that they don't sometimes, like, you know, I look at Quincy Jones, you know, Quincy Jones, the producer, or whatever, like that, had two daughters, Gaddafi and Rashida, or whatever, like that. And Gaddafi looks more like a black, same mom though, but looks more like a black chick. All her features, her hair, everything like that. Where Rashida looks more like a white girl, got like green eyes, straight hair, and whatnot, like that, or whatever. And same household, a couple of years apart, but they grew up very differently. Rashida was Gaddafi was always around the black chicks. Rashida was always around the white girls, whatever, like that. Only because of like a small part of, I guess, DNA that made their pigment differently and certain features, even with the same mom and dad. So it's a very, very interesting thing. But what I do notice, and I don't know how you feel about this or whatever, or other people, but what I do notice is that most of the time, like almost like 90% of the time, the black community has made it to where if you're mixed, you're black. Like there is no white at all, stuff like that. Like there's like you never hear people say Drake's black or Dom.
Well,
I
hear people say,
mixed.
I hear people say whatever. Mixed. Yeah. I hear people say whatever your father is, that's what you is.
Right.
I heard people say that.
Yeah. And how do you feel about that when you hear that stuff like that?
But again, because I'm so I'm an everybody person, I just feel it's kind of stupid. It's weird. I'm trying to get away from the titles, you know. Are you black? I mean, yeah, I get it. You're gonna fill out an application, you're gonna have to put in what you are, right? What's my daughter gonna say? I don't know. I guess you're gonna click, she's gonna check off black and white, but you know, or African, American, and Caucasian. But I don't know how I feel. I don't have a I grew up, I was a little kid with my grandma saying she liked white people, you know, so I didn't have those years of like where I was only with black people. Like, yeah, I grew up in a predominantly black area in Trenton, but I grew up early with my grandma pushing the whole, like, you know, never count other people out because of skin color, because you don't know who's really going to help you out. And so when I think of like, oh, if your dad's black, then you're black and you're mixed, I'm like, you're dumb as hell. Her mom's also white, so how is she only black? Like, so I can't stand for that, you know. Oh, your dad's white, and your mom's Spanish, so you're only white. Like, no. So
those are one of those things that bothers me and always has, because I feel like it's only a black person rule, like you just said, right? So if you get a white dad with a Spanish mom, they ain't gonna say, you know, you're white. If the girl like looks Spanish and she's whatever, they're gonna say she's either mixed or she's Spanish or whatever.
Or she's Spanish, and she might say, "Oh, I got a white dad." Like, "Oh, dad, I couldn't tell." Okay, and you keep it moving, you know. But it's like, nah, man. Like I see that people fight people on that. I ain't trying to hear it. Your dad was black, so you black. It's like,
right. And I feel like that is, but it's only a black person rule. I feel like anybody else.
Even with Obama, people's like, "Oh, we got black presidents." Like, we do got a black president, but don't forget his mom is white. Like, he is mixed.
That's where I was gonna get to. I feel bad for the moms in those situations, kind of like the Obama and Drake, or if you want to say, like, especially because a lot of those moms, including Obama's and Drake's mom, were the ones who were actually raising him or whatever. Like that. You know what I'm saying? So it's amazing to me that they get like no acknowledgement, you know, what whatsoever and stuff like that. It's just like, he's black. And that's it, or whatever, you know what I mean? And it's like, I feel bad because they put the work in. They were up at night with the kids. They were the ones who were taking to the doctor's appointment, stuff like that, or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, and it's like they get none whatsoever, and I don't feel like that's fair. And also, again, I feel like a black person. I feel like for some reason, if Obama's dad was white, his mom was black, they still would say it was a black president. They still would say he was mixed, whatever, like that.
Because the thing is, it means a lot to have a black president. So it means so much that, you know, people would definitely want to lead and say that. And on top of that, Obama does look black. Like Obama looks primarily black. You know?
But that's my point. If he looked exactly the same, but the parents were different, it still would be the same. Because it's only a black person rule, I feel like. Same thing with whoever other, you know, most people you want to say. So I don't like that when it happens. I'm kind of with you. I'm like, why can't they be mixed? The other parent should be acknowledged in some sort of way and whatnot. But it's very hard. But to the pro-black thing, I think like if you are that way, and you decide to date outside your race, you gotta expect backlash. If you come full circle this way, but then like show this, you gotta expect some sort of backlash in that situation or whatnot. And so going back, so I want to go back to the previous topic when I said about the school segregating. For the people who get upset in general about people who are in mixed race relationships or marriages and stuff like that, I'm like, well, when we fought for this integration of schools, what did you think was going to happen?
Right. Right. Yeah. I mean, that was we all supposed to be blended at this point. So people are going to be attracted to certain people that they could never was able to be attracted to. And now they're going to be able to hang with them.
Right.
And so they're going to be able to, and opportunity is going to happen. Like,
I'm like, how could you come later on, but like, I can't believe talking to that white cheerleader. What did you do? Like, you wanted these schools to be mixed up. So I don't understand what you think the outcome was going to be. And it's like, then I hear like, well, no, you got to tell your kids early in life, like, don't date the white girl or whatever like that. But I'm like, yo, you got them in a school with 90% white people, you know what I mean, or whatever it is, stuff like that, or whatever. So I'm like, or a neighborhood, like, you know, because we want them also move to better neighborhoods, or whatever.
Right, correct.
Like that. So I'm like, these like it's almost like putting the you know, the kid in the candy store, like, yo, but you can't touch none of this, or whatever. Like, what do you think will happen?
Yeah, like, come on.
At this time. So I just feel like we sometimes as a Black community, which I love, us as Black people, sometimes we don't have foresight and think ahead and stuff like that. We want certain things, but don't think of what the outcome may be, or don't want to accept the outcome. If I was a person back then thinking about, okay, we want to integrate these schools, I'm a foresight person. I think ahead. So I would think, you know, let's be clear. If we really want this, at some point, you're going to have a lot of mixed race kids. They'll be like, no, we're not. They don't see the Black people. I'm like, no, they're not.
Yeah, like, no, trust me.
Yeah. So, but that's me. But let's move on, man.
All right, let's do it.
Deeper part of our show.
Yes, sir.
Me. So, topic coming from LittleAnt himself. Let Them Go. Oh, okay. Well, you actually didn't even see that movie, actually. So, right? No, you didn't see that.
Yeah, I didn't see it, but it was pretty much just saying that. Well, read the last sentence.
All right. Are there movies out there that you would go to the theaters and see, or whatever? So
So my whole point was as the movie's been like shut down and stuff, and you know, our favorite movie theater is Regal, was shut down. Yeah. So I wanted to see. I seen a trailer of Let Him Go, and I was shocked because I just thought, great, by the way. Yeah, I just thought every movie that was in the theater right now was like, oh, there was nothing that I would even want to see. Right? Every time I would look, it'd be like Jurassic Park. Like, what? I seen Jurassic Park how many years ago? So I seen the trailer Let Him Go, and I was like, whoa, that looks really good. So I started looking at I looked up the movie times, and I seen Honest Thief. I said, oh yeah, that was a movie we talked about a while ago. So we ended up going to the movies and seeing more trailers of movies that's coming out. And I was like, there's actually some movies that I actually want to see. So I was curious on, I think a lot of people was like me and didn't think that they was actually putting newer movies in the movies that actually are decent that I would have went to the movies to see. So I wanted to bring up that topic.
I think those movies are from people like me and you, like avid moviegoers. Let Them Go, Honesty, Freaky, stuff like that, or whatever. Definitely stuff I would definitely, you know, go see. I do think people don't know, like you said, because you don't see, like, they're not really promoted that much as well and stuff. And
you don't see it on TV trailers.
Right. That's what I'm saying. But I think those are movies that wouldn't have been promoted anyway because they weren't the bigger movies. Like, you only got so much of a budget for the type of movies.
Yeah, but I feel like, okay, Freaky would have definitely, Freaky is a movie, Vince Vaughn, that would have definitely been on a commercial. You'd have seen that on a commercial. Let Him Go, like Kevin Costner, like, I feel like you would have seen that on a commercial. Honest Thief is that cheesy action movie. Like that, I feel like that would have been on a commercial. But I feel like right now,
it's all together, right? So these people put out more money for the marketing of the movie. They know they ain't getting that much back because people are not going to the movie that much. They can't put money out for the marketing. So that's the problem. No, for me, so this is a good time to talk about it. So as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, this week, institution closed down. An institution that brought probably even you so many memories and stuff like that. So that's AMC Hamilton 24.
Yes, sir.
And when I say close down, I don't mean because of the pandemic, they're on a hiatus. I mean, it is done, officially closed its doors. And that movie was my first ever job, which I said before on the show, when I was 14 years old, working a concession stand. I told you guys in the chat, I guess, never said on the show. When I was 14 years old, working a concession stand. First movie they had planned were the prequels, some Star Wars. I remembered it like it was yesterday. I spent so many moments, so many times. It was so big, right? And it's crazy because I don't even know any of the theaters that big or whatever. And I've been in several theaters before, but it was so big that, to me, like, I remember going there and just I've been there as an adult all day. I told you I saw 3 movies in the same day there, stuff like that. Just in the theater.
I did. Okay, no, I was gonna say I did the. I remember in the chat I was saying how I was cleaning my closet and I found my lanyard that had the. I did the thing that one. They had 5 movies in one day because it was all the movies that won won a award that year. Let them. What's her name? Juno. There Will Be Blood. No Country for Old Men, and I can't remember the other 2, but when those awards, and I had my lanyard and I went to the movies, that theater, and saw 5 movies in one day. They gave you little breaks. You would go, have like a 20-minute break, then the next movie was coming up. You had an all-you-can-eat pass. I mean, man, that
Juno was great, by the way. But
I've seen the most amount of movies in my whole life at that theater.
Yeah, like, man, that's what kind of sucks for it to be gone. And I just remember, like, me and Chris and my boy, we'd go watch a movie together. And remember they had a little arcade, a little basketball, stuff like that. We'll always have a competition every time we see a movies. Who's gonna win today and stuff like that. You don't even see that at theaters no more. Awesome, nowhere else or whatever. So that's sad. Also sad, man, because you grew up in Trenton like me. Like that, I think that theater is kind of what brought. And I was telling my kids the other day and whatnot. We had a conversation, and she was saying that I feel like, people used to go back in the day, but they stopped going. I'm like, no. When I was a kid, nobody was at that movies or whatever. Like that wasn't a part of your thing because AMC wasn't out. AMC came out in 1999 or whatever like that. And I feel like AMC itself brought more of the Black community into the theater community and whatnot.
Well, for me, I used to go to, there was a movie theater in Quaker Bridge Mall. So when I was young,
I know.
Right across
Mercer Mall.
And
Mercer Mall. They had one too.
Yeah, Mercer Mall. But for me, like I like malls. Like I was a mall rat, so I like going to an actual mall, not a strip mall. So there was the movie theater in the mall, and then right across from the movie theater was the Time Out arcade. So for me, it was cool. Like the movies was like a part of my life. Like, I seen Falling Down there. I seen Independence Day there. So it was like talking about Quaker Bridge Mall. But but AMC for me was like I had so many dates there. I mean, that took movies to the next level, technology, having an IMAX and
stadium seating.
Yeah,
Quaker Bridge had stadium seating. Yeah, it was different. Right. And I remember Quaker Bridge only had like 6 theaters and whatnot. I remember Quaker Bridge. But that's what I mean. Like, it was something locally, but it wasn't like you and I probably went because we were movie fans. But you wasn't getting average people to go. Like that wasn't like something like people said.
My mom was like, my mom was dropping me off, go to the mall or go to the movies, but I was going to AMC myself. Like, man, I want, this is my thing,
And look what you said, your mom was dropping you off. Ain't like y'all was going as a family, like all y'all was going to the theater, stuff like that or whatever. Yeah. Like AMC, I felt like it brought more families there. When you were there, you saw families a lot together.
Yeah. I remember I took my kids and my wife's kids, my stepkids, for my birthday to see Cabin in the Woods, like at the midnight showing. Like I got a lot of memories. Now, is due to COVID that is closing? Is that the case?
Well, it's not. It's due to COVID, because their rent is crazy high and they can't afford it. But as you know, by going to the movies now, they don't have enough movies basically to play. To bring people in there, and the ones that, and it's a demographic, bro. Like it always has been that, right, for AMC. But for them, it's like, you know, they're so close to Trenton, which brought so many people there. The movies that they're playing, you're not getting a lot of people from the hood going to see Let Them Go or whatever. Just not, it's
You're
not happening or whatever. So their demographic area, without having bigger movies like a Marvel movie or, you know, something like that, a Disney movie, even where the kids would all go, you know, and stuff like that, they can't afford to stay open. It made logical sense and whatnot. So like, because the AMC in Preston is still open.
Right.
You know, which is only maybe 10 minutes away from that one.
Right. Yeah.
But,
right up the street.
Yeah, but the demographic is so much different up there. So it's you know, they get a lot of Preston people on dates and stuff like that. Go ahead.
Yeah, I went to the AMC. What is it called, Sandy? The AMC you went to? Yeah, I went to the Woodhaven AMC yesterday, and they're open, and they were serving food.
Unlike
hot dogs. Yeah, the only thing they didn't have was pretzel bites, which kind of upsetted me, but they had nachos, like, you know.
Yeah. So I think that, like, you know, I could imagine, because even going Regal right here by my house, and that's only, I think, 10 or 12 theaters or something like that. And even that was empty as ever, you know, when they were, you know, open after the pandemic. Well, you know, when they open back up. But so I can imagine how big the AMC is, how empty that probably was.
Man, yeah. Yeah, because yesterday we were the only people in our theater. Now, Harris was cool though. I mean, obviously a limited capacity, but we went to go see a movie and we was a little bit late to the movies. When we got there, it was sold out. I was like, okay, that's kind of cool. A sold out movie. I mean, I don't know if sold out meant, you know, I mean, obviously it's barely that many people, but either way, it was sold, that time slot was sold out. And I was like, that was cool. But yeah, AMC is massive. Like yeah, because think about it. You get a theater that got 12 theaters, right? A movie that got 12 theaters. They cut back. You know, they do 30%, 50%, whatever. You know, okay, they might be able to be okay, but you take something with 24 theaters and they're cutting back. Like, what they can make probably ain't gonna pay the rent anyway on that limited budget, on a limited amount of, you know, the cutback.
No, and it still have to have an employee or two in there to run the place, probably more than that, because you got all those screens that still getting projected. You got to think about that and the different times. Like, you projecting movies with nobody in it. There's probably so many theaters with literally nobody in there during this time period.
And the movie's just playing. And then think about it, AMC was so big, they had 3 different concession stands. When you walk in, the one to the right, the one to the left.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it was good and probably generated so much revenue, but I probably was always like, you know, you think about, I mean, we just call it what it is. I mean, even though they opened back up in August, it's almost really like 8 months with no movies for them, because they weren't really making enough money when they open up or whatever like that. There's no way they could survive that with the size that they had. And it's a shame, man, because I'm sure they didn't see it coming. But like I said, that place is an institution, man. I'm sorry to say it. I mean, I'm sorry to say it, but you know, I gotta say it. So this is a good opportunity to say that, man. So I'm happy this topic came up. I do want to say, shouts out to AMC, man. So many good times. My friends, my dates, my family, my daughter and I. My daughter and I used to go there every week almost and watch movies when she was young and stuff like that. So I'm never gonna forget that. And I wonder what would happen next. You know what I mean? Because my thing is what I said, right? So we talked about it a little bit. They got the AMC and Princeton and whatnot, but it's like, you know, when theaters are able to come back without that there, Black people like to travel to movies. I'm one of them and whatnot. So I wonder,
I know.
I wonder, you know, like when you see people from those areas, how many movies they're going to go see and stuff like that. Because, like, you know, we don't really want to, they ain't going to Woodhaven or freaking cherry. They ain't doing that. Right. What to say. So I can imagine.
Might go maybe Philadelphia Mills, right?
If they have a mall to go to, but it's got to be big for them to say. Because you got to say, it's like my grandma was starting to go to the movies now. I was like, all right, I'll drive 10 minutes away, but she ain't going to Philadelphia Mills. You know what I mean? So it really depends. But I feel like, and also the AMC in Princeton don't have an IMAX or whatever like that. So there's no like local, and regular have IMAX either. So I'm like, damn, that's like, it was a whole viewing type of viewing experience for a whole area right now. Those AMCs. That's very interesting as well to me as well. So I don't know. I guess we'll see how it goes. But moving on forward. All right,
moving on forward. Your topic. Who was your favorite teacher growing up and why? You know, it's funny when you said that. My favorite teachers were in elementary school. I think because it's me growing up and kind of like learning, right? When I respected them more when I was in high school and middle school, I feel like my favorite teachers was just trying to be cool, right? They were just cool and you liked them because, you know, they was cool. So that's why a lot of people like substitute teachers more, because substitute teachers didn't care as much and they was like younger and they cursing and all that, right? But I liked, I could think of Miss Frederick. She was my third grade teacher. And actually, let's see, I stayed back in third grade. So I had two third grade teachers, but I remember Miss Fredericks. But she was a really cool teacher. She was a Black lady. She was no nonsense, but she had you respect her, but she was really nice to her class and her students. I can think of Mr. Jones, and this is Joyce Kilmer. So I'm talking about in Joyce Kilmer in Trenton, New Jersey, in West Trenton,
okay.
on San Hecan. But I can think of Mr. Jones, but he was the really cool Black guy, and I feel like he rubbed me the wrong way a little bit, but he was so popular. So I liked his popularity, but when it comes down to it, Miss Fredericks was a really nice lady, and she was stern, and she got our respect. At the same time, she was so fair. I feel like growing up, somebody being fair, I really appreciate a fair person, right? Like they're gonna get on you when you need it, but they're gonna give you credit when you deserve it as well, you know. But you know, they're not just gonna be cool, you know. And so Miss Fredericks would be my teacher. Disciplinarian, I got in trouble a bit when I was younger because I was a class clown. Miss Tassi in junior 3, Arthur J. Holland Middle School. She was one of the people in school suspension, so I'll never forget her. But she was cool, but she was stern. And I'll never forget Miss Tenson, and she was a math teacher in elementary school at Joyce Kilmer, and she was really, really mean. But for some reason, I admired people who were stern. My mom was really strict, and I grew up like admiring people who were strict because I feel like they was going to help you be a good person and not just let you do whatever you want. So I always remember Miss Fredericks, Miss Tenson, and Miss Tassi. You know, those really all three stern Black women. That was you know, I'll never forget them because they was no nonsense, but they rewarded you when you did good.
Let me ask you, which one did you hate the most in your whole time in school?
Man, I think everybody hated Miss Tassi. She was so mean to the next level, and people used to think, we used to have rumors that she was a drunk. She would come to school drunk or whatever. But yeah, I mean, if I had to say, she was super mean for no reason. It was like, hey man, why you gotta be so mean? But I think that could have also been me being immature and want, you know, do something wrong, but want them not to be as mean because of it, you know? Like my daughter, one thing I hate the most, she always say, it ain't that big of a deal. And I'm like, ain't that big of a deal to you? Like, you're the kid who got in trouble. So obviously you're downplaying, you know? So.
Right. Okay, that's cool. For me, I would say, for different reasons, starting with, I'm going from front to back. So I would say Miss Banks, was a Black lady teacher, elementary school, Paul Robeson Elementary School, second grade actually. And I remember she was just very, very nice and took her time with the kids and stuff like that. And she was you know, she was very, very just warm and stuff like that. So I remember her. Then I go to fifth grade, Mr. Lloyd. Mr. Lloyd was one of those stern, he was a big dude. He was probably like 400 pounds, big dude, Black guy, whatever like that. And it's funny because we talk about like, I don't know, early 90s, something like that. But he was one of those real stern Black guys, took no nonsense. And he was one of those guys who was already there for like 20 years or more. So he was like, I taught your mother. You know what I mean? He was one of those guys who like taught you and then also taught your mother and stuff like that. So it was like, you know, and it's weird and it's crazy to say, right? But like the parents would like give him permission to like, you know, like do whatever he wanted to. He'll take you to the back and like grab my children, like, what you doing here, man? Like, something like that'd be crazy right now. But he'll shake you up a little bit. Like he will like slap you up, but he'll definitely give you a little shake or whatever like that. But I remember like definitely taught you a lot about discipline and, you know, paying attention and focusing and not disrupting or whatever like that. He was a good dude overall. Like, you know what I mean? He'll look out for the people in the community, things like that. But he definitely didn't take no nonsense at all. And then sixth grade, I remember Miss Butler. Now, she was my first like person who really focused on education or whatever. She was a Black lady, and she really wanted to see the Black kids, you know, learn. And she just took time with to make sure we were, you know, reading the books, being educated, learning, actually doing what we need to do. She wasn't as much as a disciplinarian as much as I want to educate, stuff like that. So I admire her for that. So Miss Banks was just nice and sweet. Mr. Lloyd was a disciplinarian who taught you a lot about that, and then Butler was really about education and make sure that you learn. So for 3 different reasons. Yeah, I like them all.
That was a good question too, man.
Yeah, thank you.
Good topic. Yeah,
I appreciate that. So, yeah, I it comes in my head, bro. I just think of it, you know what I mean? Yeah, it happens. So, but on to the next is on me. Actually, it was your topic, but my thing. I had this conversation too yesterday. But how do you feel about movie remakes? That's from you, stuff like that.
So I told her I would give her credit. It's a girl at my job. I was telling her about our show, and I was like, man, I'm missing one topic. And she kind of came up with this. So I told her I was going to give her a shout out. Her name is Beverly. So Bev, I told you I was going to give you a shout out. Thank you very much for coming up with this. But I told her that you and I love movies. And she was like, oh, why don't you guys mention this? So yeah, what would you have to say about how do you feel about remakes?
Shouts out to Bev. Yeah, yo, make sure she watches the show too. Or whatever she would. I
will definitely be sending this to her.
But I can't stand remakes, bro. I like the originals, and it really upsets. I'm okay with sequels if you want to move the story forward, but remakes I hate. Like I was just talking to my Kia about they're supposed to be trying. It's not a movie remake, but I guess same vein. They're supposed to be trying to do like a Wait and Exhale TV show, like a remake and stuff like that or whatever. And I'm like, yo, no. Like to me, I guess I'm so into characters. To me, characters are iconic or whatever, and they're iconic for the roles that they play. And I don't want to see now if you want to take a similar story, give it a different title and stuff like that, where it's not a remake, but the premise is based off of the original thing. That's fine too, because it's not the same thing as a remake. But when you remake, have the same character with the same name, and it's like remaking. Okay, this is John. Back in '85, this is John's mom. We're gonna do another one 2005, but this is gonna be John. That's gonna be John's mom. Same story. I hate that, bro. Like, it bothers me a lot. So again, I'm not a big fan of the whole Karate Kid with Jaden Smith. I'm not a big fan of trying to think of another remake. I can't think of one right now, but
I'm not so many.
Yeah, it's a lot, but again, I'm cool with sequels or whatever. Not a big fan of remakes. Now, I will say the one caveat would be horror films. Like I'm okay with those, even though they're iconic characters too. But I feel like it's different in a different time frame and whatnot. But I'm not okay with like when they take these iconic characters from the 80s and 90s that I grew up cherishing. I feel the same way about songs. Make your own damn song. I hate when they make songs too.
Yeah, songs does it the most. For songs is even worse than movies for me. That really
for me too, because when you got the same beat playing and you got the same hook, but now you got something different from a song from the 80s or 90s. Like, what? And then what makes me so mad is that the beat comes on. You're like, oh, that's my jam. I heard this in a minute. And it's like the new one.
Yeah.
Like, what? I want to hear this. You know what I mean? So it's so bad. So it's a good question, but no, I'm not a big fan of remakes.
So I'm going to be the opposite way. So as anybody who watched this, they always heard me say, I'm big on ambition, right? So I'm big on giving you an A for effort, right? Sometimes I think sometimes people could pull it off, right? And you're like, oh man, I talked to Bev about this, and I said, my wife and I watched Beauty and the Beast. That's my favorite Disney movie. We watched Beauty and the Beast, the original, the cartoon, right before we went to the movies and watched the live action. And I went and seen the live action, and I actually liked the live action more because I felt like a cartoon that they made so long ago was great. But when you watch it and then watch live action, it's like, man, they left out so much details. I guess because they made it for kids, I guess, when you think of it. So it was just dumbed down, and the live action being made in the 2000s, it was like, oh man, they added so much detail. They mentioned stuff that you just totally went over your head, and it's a cartoon, so you just let it ride. And but I will say that there's way more screw ups in remakes, right? Chances are, if I was to rate all the remakes I've seen, it'd be like probably a 90% negative, and probably 10% of the remakes was actually, oh, they did a good job. So I agree with you. But I will say, I actually did enjoy The Karate Kid with Jaden Smith. Like, I knew it wasn't the same thing, but it was supposed to be this version. And I was into his little story and his little, I thought it was a good attempt to remake, to try to remake the movie. Now, nowhere could it touch it, but here's something me and Bev talked about, and I love to bring you in on this. I said, the reason why I like certain remakes is if you give a chance to give me, and wait till I bring this movie up, because this was clever to me. At first she was like, no, no, no. And then she was like, oh, that's some good points. Child's Play, okay? The original Child's Play was, they took something spiritual, the killer dies, take his spirit and put into a doll. In the 2000s, they took a disgruntled employee and he takes a computer program without limits and put it into a doll. So now our new back then, you got, it's creepy, it's spiritual. So when he make light shut off, it's he's possessed, the doll's possessed, and the doll has supernatural powers. In the future and nowadays, I could pick up my remote control and turn my light on in the ceiling. I could take that same remote control and turn the fridge on, the light on the fridge, right? So you could take something not spiritual but electronic technology, and Chucky had the ability to turn all the TVs on, and it was still as creepy because it's like, oh my God, all the TVs turned on or the microwave shut off, but it's just technology. So stuff like that, I felt like, man, I give them credit for ambition. Yes, it can't take the place of the supernatural because I love creepy stuff like that, but I thought it was just as clever as having supernatural, but having technology. And so for that, if you would say, let's boycott remakes, I would have never got to see Chucky in that light, which was cool. Or last one I'll say, Pet Sematary. Pet Sematary to me is my scariest movie I ever seen. And also I would like to go back when we mentioned your favorite horror movies. If I get a chance, because I pulled it up on a whim, but after the show was over, I was like, oh man, I left this out, I left that out. I would totally rearrange it. But Pet Sematary was my favorite, was the scariest movie I've seen, because when I seen it, my cat died, and then my mom buried it in the backyard. We had a little prayer for it. And then I went to the movies and seen Pet Sematary. I had no clue this cat was gonna die and come back. And where my bed was at, it was facing where we buried the cat. Anyway, the old Pet Sematary was great, but the new Pet Sematary was really good. Like, they took the how they twist, which I won't say, but how they twist the movie, change certain characters, which you know what I'm saying. Spoiler alert, or I won't say it. But and then the ending, I was like, wow. So in that sense, I welcome remakes, because if you could pull it off, I love it. Most likely they're probably gonna screw it up, because you get very few remakes that is good. But I want to see. Let me see what you got. Let's see what you got.
All right, so let's unpack a lot there. It's funny because the two things you mentioned you love the most, Chucky and Pet Sematary, Child's Play. Remember, I said I'm okay with it with horror films. So it's funny because those are the things that you mentioned the most, whatever like that. That's ironic. And I think it's because I'm interested in seeing what you're saying, like how they take that horror aspect and make first of all, to make the evil person, but also to see what people can do now that they have more technology and stuff like that and whatnot. I mean, it also becomes harder for the writer, I feel like, because you have to make some plot devices, because now we got cell phones. So I'll be like, yo, Jason chasing me. Like, I mean, like, it was really.
And I got him a video. There you go, right there. That's the killer. That's what he looked like. I'm live on Facebook. Everybody's seeing the killer. You see your face.
Right. So now you got to make a way where I don't have my cell phone. So it makes it a little interesting for the writer now and stuff like that. But I feel like that. So I'm okay with horror films. I don't consider the animated to live action remake. I feel like it's like a different version of it, and I welcome those because I'm like, yo, I think it'd be cool to see how they can make the person. Well, yeah, how the person make the like the people look or whatever like that. Can they match and stuff like that? Now, I don't think they did it better, but I feel like what happens is that they take the complaints from people from those earlier versions and say, you know what? So like Beauty and the Beast, the parts that were missing were the parts people were complaining about were missing for 20 years. So you're like, you know what? We heard y'all. We're gonna add this to the new version or whatever like that. Whatnot. So I think that's cool. Reading a lot like something like Karate Kid, I'm just like, you know, I mean, if I was looking at a standalone movie, all right, it's Karate Kid, it's cool, whatever. But I feel like because you're constantly comparing to the old Karate Kid in your head, kind of like you were with Tenet and Inception or whatever, like
correct. Yes.
Like so it's like, yo, like, you know, I love Jackie Chan, but I'm sorry, man, he's not Mr. Miyagi. You know what I mean? To me, like,
well, you know why? Because Karate Kid, again, you know, I said before how much Cobra Kai meant to me. So you take a movie like Karate Kid, we have invested feelings, like, you know, so you try to reduplicate that, it's like, man. But at the same time, Jackie Chan's cool, man. Like, that's my dude.
He's
so
cool,
the fact that
again,
if
no
they
Miyagi.
was, but it's like if you was gonna remake it, right? For me, I feel like if you said, Anthony, you got a budget, and I'm gonna allow you to remake Karate Kid, yo, Jackie Chan got to be my Mr. Miyagi. He's not Mr. Miyagi, but if I could recast him. And so they did that for me. Again, ambition for me. Like, yo, I give y'all some credit because y'all got Jackie Chan to be Mr. Miyagi.
I think it would have been better if they did what they finally did now. Just keep going with a show like Cobra Kai. They would have a Cobra Kai movie. I've been all into that. You know what I'm saying? Something like that. Like, oh, man, 20 years later, let's see what Daniel and blah, blah, doing, whatever this and that. You know what I'm saying?
What I will say, though, your point to Waiting to Exhale, I don't think I look at shows in the same way, though. If you made a movie and you want to make a show, I'm okay with that because that's totally different. You're gonna, it's like the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. You're gonna it's gonna be dragged out and it's gonna be more detailed. We always talk about movies. You got 2 or 3 hours to put it out there, and then sometimes we feel like, man, there was so much content missing in this movie. You could tell it should have been more. But if you give me a TV show, now I could see like, oh, what extra would you have done with this story and these characters that I would have liked to know?
If you give me a TV show and it's continuing the story, like, you know, whatever, that's fine. That's more like a sequel to me. But if you're starting all over, like, I don't really want that because, again, I'm used to Angela Bassett playing the iconic character and Waiting to Exhale. I don't want no, because again, I'm gonna compare whoever they get to play her. I'm be like, yo, nah, she ain't doing like Angela did. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's gonna automatically.
But here's my question: what if she does? I want to be wowed. What if you be like for instance, you know what I'm waiting for? And again, you said horror, but I want to see them take a stab at remaking Final Destination. I'm dying to see it. Like, let me see if you.
Well, you know, even like The Invisible Man that me and you went to see together.
Yeah,
I thought it was dope how they added the technology aspect of the suit, made him invisible, rather than, you know, the whatever, make him invisible, whatever like that. So I thought that was cool. But some of the stuff, like a Waiting to Exhale, like a Karate Kid and other movies or whatever like that, I think the times they come out like play into the movie as well. So you hear that 80s music in the background while they're about to fight on Karate Kid. There's like this whole progression in the 90s of like independent Black women and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And blah 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 blah. So it was like for her to write that book and make that movie, Waiting to Exhale, it like went with the time. I'm like, now I kind of don't go with it. I don't know. To me, it's like movies are made, some movies specifically for those time periods, and they're iconic for that or whatever like that. Like, you know, Back to the Future now, would it be cool or whatever? It might be okay or whatever.
It would be so different. They would have to. So here's what this is what I'll say. If you gotta wow me, right? I want you to do something like a Chucky. It was supernatural horror movie, and now it's a computer program, right? Switch it up. You know what I'm saying? So like if they made it Back to the Future, we're already in like stuff back then is where we are today. So now you got to give me way out there. You know what I'm saying? So I I welcome it because I want to see what you could do. Chances are you might let me down, but I welcome it to see what you could do. I'm looking for that ambition to see if you can pull it off.
But I agree with you. If I had to choose none, or if my choice were none or all, I'll take no remakes, but I'm okay with some, especially horror films, but they're not my favorite or whatever.
Because you almost don't want them to tarnish the name of the, like I get you with the Karate Kid thing. It bothers you. It's like, you should have just left that alone. Now, here's what's weird with me. I'm almost with, I'd rather a remake than a sequel. Because I feel like my perfect movie, that I don't want you to ruin. You can come up with the second rate, you can come up with our leftovers or whatever you want to call it. That's never going to be my original movie, so screw that up. But don't add some new story like Star Wars. I'm just like, yo, man, Star Wars ain't this new Star Wars, y'all can like it if you want. But my Star Wars ended with episode 6. That's all I know.
See, so I don't know. So like, okay, so like I take Rocky for example. Like I'm okay with Creed, right? Michael B. Jordan playing Apollo Creed's son, and moving forward, and Rocky being his trainer. I'll take that. But if they would have had a new Italian dude playing like Rocky and it's starting all over again with a new Adrian and a new Paulie, no.
Well, you know what? I agree. Rocky is too iconic of a movie. That is a slap in the face. But I bet you in 20 years it'll be a new Rocky,
Bro, that's so bad. But yeah.
Because let's be clear, it's they say it. And I said this to Bevy Bev. The best form of flattery is imitation, right? Imitation is the best form of flattery. So what could you do to try to wow us? Well, you just recreate it, But and again, I feel like originality is dying. I mean, let's sit down one day and try to come up with a movie that hasn't been done. It's gonna be pretty hard.
I don't think so. I mean, I think it can be hard, but I think it's about like just kind of like putting the time into it, I guess, or whatever like that. Like it's I mean, again, you don't have to be original. You can do a similar, guy from the streets who made it big as a boxer. Maybe right now it could be a UFC fighter. Whatever, you can do a different story, whatever like that. So similar to Rocky, but just don't be Rocky. That's my
I got you.
You know what I mean? Don't have the character playing Rocky. He's playing.
But we also got to talk about the underlying thing we're leaving out. We know people make these remakes because they're trying to cash grab.
Of course.
You make a movie like Rocky-ish movie, and I feel like this was his first big break to me. Tom Hardy was in Warriors, right? Warriors was awesome. A cage fighter guy. That was pretty much a Rocky kind of story, right? But some people probably never even seen Warriors, right? Had no clue he was in that movie. And it was amazing. Kurt Angle was in the movie. Oh man, it was awesome, right? But if you could spend that a little more of a budget and just make a new Rocky, the cash grab, because you're probably gonna make way more money than Warriors made. Even if people think the movie sucked.
Right.
That's you know what I'm saying? So we got to know these directors, they want that money, and if they could get the IP to remake something, the cash in. Now, here's the thing with COVID, they probably going to be real overthinking it more. Like, man, we ain't going to spend all this money to make the new this and it don't do well. So.
Well, yeah, of course not. I mean, movies forever have changed, but it's a good subject that Bevy Bev came up with because
she did.
I feel like that. I've always not always. I mean, it's probably 95%, and to your point, they don't turn out well or whatever a lot of times and whatnot, like these remakes. Like some of them do. Horror films, I think, do because you get a new spin on it, but a lot of times they don't. So I'm just like I can't imagine. I can imagine I can even imagine a new Nightmare on Elm Street, a new set of kids having dreams or whatever like that. That would be dope. I feel like. All type of stuff, whatever. But for some movies, it's like, nah, man, leave my movie alone. So
well, to your point, I always compare these two movies, right? So Nicholas Sparks, I love movies. The Notebook was amazing. And then when he came out with The Vow, I was like, man, the Vow feels like The Notebook, but in modern times. It was very different. It wasn't the same story, but I feel like when he was writing it, he had so much of that, those really good love story elements and how far love can go with tragedy. But just different. And I feel like, to your point, it wasn't the same movie. It was a whole different movie, you know, but it was very similar aspects. So that way, it wasn't like he remade The Notebook. You know what I'm saying? He just made another movie that was very similar but very different. And it was.
I would even be mad. Well, think about now, right? Think about, let's say 25 years from now, if it was just like, you know, they made a new Fast and Furious, something like that, and you know, they had like not a continuation, but it started from scratch. They had a new guy playing, you know,
Vin Diesel.
Yeah, Dom Toretto or something like that. It'd be like, what? No, bro, you ain't Dom.
Now, what they could do, though, in 25 years, if they had really, 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 really young, popular actors, like new stars, and then they made him. Because at the end of the day, it's about money. And it's also about you linking yourself to a star, right? So for us, who the hell cares about Jaden Smith? But I'm sure there was a bunch of young people that was like, oh, and we also got to give credit where credit's due. So you bring the Karate Kid to kids who are 10 years old who don't never watch our Karate Kid. Yeah. Now that's their Karate Kid, you know? Now we're complaining because we're adults, like, no, that ain't Karate Kid. But they was like, it is for me. And again, the movie companies made a lot of money.
Yeah. That's our fault, though, or whatever like that, as adults. I won't say it's our fault, but a lot of times we don't say, no, watch my Karate Kid or whatever. Because I hear parents who do that, the kids wind up loving the older stuff or whatever.
Yeah, but I do remember I got my son to watch Transformers, the movie, the 1986 anime, and he thought it was trash. And I was like, what? That's one of my favorite movies ever. And so years later, once he got into Transformers more, then he respected it. But just showing it to him as a kid, he was like, what is this garbage? So I don't know, sometimes it backfires.
It could backfire too, whatever. You're probably so disappointed when he said that.
Man, I was, yeah.
All right, well, moving on forward, man, to one of the best parts of our show. We are going to get into the book of questions and the versus questions. So you're up first with the book of questions as usual.
Hold up, wait. There's actually one more.
Question? Oh.
Yeah. Number 8, you said, give an example of a really wild night from your life that didn't end where you expected it to.
I did say that. Okay.
Yeah. Last question. So.
Okay, you go. Go ahead.
Yeah. So Big Mike, it's the last question. So let me think of a really wild. I was almost when you sent it to me, I was like, well, what does he mean? Like, I had a really wild night and I thought it was going to turn out one way and it turned out another way. Is that it?
Yeah. Okay. So let's say you and your boys were expecting to this. I mean, this is a little example. Go to dinner or whatever. But then let's say somebody was like, yo, this is a casino afterwards. And then that turned into, yo, the strip club open too. And it became a wild night. But you only expected to go to eat and go home.
Got you.
Something like that.
Yeah. Okay, I got you. I got you. Let me think. I probably have 8 million of those because I was a clubber. So I always, this is what we would do. We would go to the club. We would leave the club, go to the diner. We would leave the diner, go to the sex shop. Like, and a group of people, like guys, girls, a bunch of us. Let me see. And it has to be unexpected. Like, I can't be like, I knew that was going to happen.
That was your usual thing. That wasn't unexpected.
Right. I don't know. I'm trying to think in my hat. I mean, I know there's so many times I went to do something with my boys and then the outcome ended up being different. But I'm kind of drawing a blank because I also wanted to be more of a exaggerated crazy. Okay, I'll give you one. So back to the summer of '95, the girl I was messing with, long story short, she kind of ran away, right? I helped her run away. Right. And she ended up going back home. It involved the cops. I'll put that out there. And so my friend and I thought we were going to get on the bus. We didn't drive, go to Plainsboro. That's where she lived at. We lived in Trenton. So we got on the bus, went to Plainsboro. I thought I was going to go talk to her mom because also I had a medallion that my dad gave my grandma to give to me. So she had it. So I wanted to get it back. It meant a lot to me. So we get on the bus, we go out there, and we're thinking we're just going to go there, get my medallion, call it a day. It turned into the mom telling us that the father got a gun, And you know, he's a nice guy, but he does own a gun. And I'm all like, why'd you want my medallion? My boy was like, bro, let's get up out of here. You don't get what she's saying. And he's on his way home. And mind you, we're two black kids in an all-white neighborhood in Plainsboro. So we end up leaving, and the cops pulled up on us. It was like, what are y'all doing here? And we're like, what? So they put us in the cop car, drove us, and said, stay here and catch the bus, but put us at the back of this store and told us to stay there. So we're like, yo, I feel like they're gonna come back and do something to us. Like, the bus ain't stopping in the back of the store. So we walked from around the back of the building, walked to the bus stop, got on the bus and went home. And it was very traumatizing, but me being me, pulling my friend along with me, I had to go there, had to try to, you know, when he told me not to. But yeah, that turned out where I thought it was going to be, oh, me just going and getting my medallion. And it turned out crazy with the cops giving us a ride to the back of a building, talking about stay there. And we, you know, end up running after they pulled off and jumped into the bus.
Wait, you're talking about Stadia, you said?
Huh?
You're talking about Stadia you're talking about?
No, I'm talking about, I'm saying I'm going back to the summer of 95.
Oh, okay, okay, got it.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So I was 19 or whatever I was. Yeah, 19.
Gotcha. Wow, that was crazy. Like you, as a young person, a bunch of nights wind up like this, right? You don't think about what you're gonna wind up doing and what you're gonna. It's funny, I wrote the question, but I never thought about which one is. All right, so one night in particular, I will say that I was going to watch a Super Bowl party, me and my guy Smooth, and whatnot, and at this person's house and whatnot. So went to watch Super Bowl party, great Super Bowl, had a good time or whatever, won some money, this and that. And we watched it in Philly, coming back from Philly. He's like, yo, we stopped at the casino or whatever like that. So wound up stopping at the casino on the way back from Philly at the Philly Park or whatever. So we're in there. So Super Bowl over like midnight already, right? Or close to 1 o'clock. We go to the casino, we're in there gambling, we eat chickies and beats like 1 a.m. or whatever. We shooting dice and gambling, stuff like that. I start talking to one of the, I guess the girls who walk around or whatever and get the drink or whatever they call it, whatever. Like, so I start talking to one of her. All of a sudden, I get her number. You know what I mean? Because I'm in there hollering at her, whatever like that. So after, because mind you, I went with Spools. He dropped me off and whatnot. So I found out where she lived at. She get off at like 7 that morning. We there from like, I don't know, 2 to probably almost that time. It's like 6 something or whatever. She doing her job, but when it's like every now and again, she stop and talk to me, blah, 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 this and that. So she's like, well, I get off at 7, what you doing? I'm like, I ain't doing nothing or whatever. It's like Monday morning now, stuff like that. So I'm like, well, I ain't drive. She was like, I was like, why, you want to get some breakfast? Or she like, cool, or whatever. So I'm like, smooth, I'm gonna roll with her. So I want to leave with her to go to get breakfast from the casino. Girl, I just met in the casino and stuff like that. And then we went to have breakfast that morning at like a diner or something like that. And then she wound up taking me home. So it went from just going to watch Super Bowl to casino to this girl having breakfast. It was a crazy night.
That's a good night, man.
Oh my God. I couldn't believe it was all happening in this order or something like that. So that was just crazy night. So that'll be mine, I will say. All right, what's next? Book of questions.
Book of questions. All right, brother. So I'm gonna, you know how this go. You have to choose between 1 and 217 and pick a number, and I will read them for you.
All right, I'm gonna go with 18.
18. Okay, I like it. All right, number 18 said, if you could wake up tomorrow having gained any one ability or quality, what would it be?
Okay, it's almost like a superhero question or whatever. But,
it could be anything. I mean, you could be, you know.
I know. If I could wake up tomorrow with any one ability or quality, what would it be? I would say ability to see the future and whatnot.
Oh wow, taking it back. Yeah.
Well, it's an ability, right? So to see the future, that way I can see things before they happen and not make the mistakes that are coming ahead. And stuff like that.
Gotcha.
You?
That's good. You know what? I'm gonna be a little cheesy. My grandma used to have a restaurant in Jamaica. She was an amazing cook, made the best food I ever had in my life. I still haven't had something where I could say that was better than my grandma's, right? Not all her dishes, because I'm not that big on meat, but she was an amazing cook. And when she made the stuff I loved, like these shrimp with string beans and stew peas, and like even now my mom makes stew peas, but it's not my grandma's stew peas, right? It's a Jamaican dish. Now, here's a cheesy thing. When my kids was younger, I used to make breakfast and did this whole big breakfast spread. And but I don't cook at all anymore. So if I could have one ability or quality, maybe I feel like it's in my DNA, in my family. My mom's a great cook. Like my sister could cook. My brother cooks. I'm the only one that don't cook. So maybe I would want to just all of a sudden be able to cook really well. Like maybe I would like I don't know, start remembering some of the foods my grandma made and how she told me to make certain stuff. Like I remember her telling me how to make porridge, but I never made porridge. And I would be a good cook.
Okay. That would be good, because I'm like, especially if you can learn how to make the Jamaican stuff, whatever like that.
Right. Yeah.
All the time. Whatever like that.
Yeah. Think about it. That's stuff I feel bad because my kids never learned how to. And my daughter, she was really big into culinary, right? And but think about it, that side she never learned. She learned the Spanish side from her mom, but she never learned like Jamaican side. And Jamaican food is amazing. So
of course, I had some on what, Tuesday? No, Wednesday. It's spot up here or whatever like that.
Yeah. So just think, like, in my lineage on my side is going to be lost. You know.
Yeah.
My kids ain't going to be growing up making Jamaican food.
But it's not too late. You can learn.
No, true. Yeah, true.
You know what I mean? What about your mom though? She can't make it like your grandma did?
Yeah, I mean, listen, my mom, people have my mom, ask my mom to cook for them. She's a good cook. It's just my grandma being older, like she would put certain, like one of my grandma's secrets, right? Crazy. She would put salad dressing in like meat. So she would like be making meat and you'll see her putting like Italian dressing. I've been thinking like, what? And it gave it this extra flavor. Like she did certain things that just that people just don't put. Like, who's putting salad dressing in food? Like, what are you doing? Right. But
that's
she would,
crazy.
Yeah, she would put certain stuff in stuff that you wouldn't think of. My mom would never do that. My mom would never do that. My mom would make the generic, basic, she could cook a great Jamaican meal. But my grandma stuff was different. It's like how I feel about Budokan. I feel like Budokan is still Asian food, but like when they brought our little spices, remember they brought our little things and we mix it up. It was like an extra flick, like it's crab fried rice, right? Okay, fine. Right. But when you add that extra stuff, you're like, oh man, this is okay. And take it to the next level. And that's what the difference is.
I do that. I cook meat with Italian salad dressing or whatever like that. So it's crazy. But I feel like it came from a Jamaican person.
Got you.
Who gave it to a friend of hers that I was dating. So she told me, and I've been doing it for like 15 years now.
Nice.
But I'll like bake my whole, I make turkey wings a lot. I bake them in salad dressing, Italian salad dressing for like 8 hours on slow, like overnight.
Wow.
Yeah,
I can imagine. Yeah. It's like the person the average person who make, turkey, wings or whatever is not going to taste like yours.
Nah, they're not. They're not. Nah. You definitely got to try them one day, bro. I know you don't eat a lot of meat, but stuff like that.
That's like a secret weapon.
Yeah, it is. It is. Which I'm giving out to the public right now. Whatever. So, but chop some onions and green peppers, put them on top, a little seasoning, salad dressing, like I said, bits of the pan all night on only on 208 hours. Oh my God, it's so good. So now people say I'm scared. I can't leave my oven on all night. I'm like, bro, it's not even gonna happen.
Right. Yeah, like what people have been, having stuff on forever. Like think about when you do ribs for like 18 hours. You know what I'm saying?
Right. But anyway, all right. Next one I'm gonna go with is that was 18.
Yep.
Let's go with 100 even. Never did that one actually.
Oh wow. Okay. 100 even. All right. What do you most strive for in your life? Accomplishment, security, love, power, excitement, knowledge, or something else?
I'm thinking about the question. I'm spent security, love, power. No, I mean, I guess they all would equal what I strive for, success. You know, I want to equal, I want to be successful. So I guess you go with accomplishment, I guess, but I think they all would equal. If I had power, if I had security, if I had love, even, and if I had accomplishments, I feel like I was successful. So that's what I most strive for, to be a successful individual in all those particular avenues. So
that's cool. Yeah. I almost feel like we went over this a long time ago, and I think we both agreed at the same thing, but I think you changed your answer a little bit, but it could be a similar thing. But I'm going with security. Security for me, like where I am right now in my life, I have that love. I have, my finances is decent. I'm just secure, and secure allows me to wake up every day with stress-free. You know, like only the biggest stress I have in my life is my daughter, because she's still underage. She's not 18 yet. But other than that, like, man, I go to work happy. I leave work happy. I have a great time with my wife. I'm happy, like, because I'm secure. I have security. Like everything in my life is secure right now. You know, I have enough money to pay my bills. I got a roof over my head. So security, I do value. And throughout my life, like, yeah, I had moments in my life where I was big into network marketing. I wanted to be rich. I wanted to be wealthy. But I feel like there's people who are rich, wealthy, and they aren't secure. You know, they're not spending their money wisely. So I feel like, but security, that word itself just means you're taken care of. Everything is in place. You know.
Right.
Now I might not have the most amount of money. I might not be famous. You know, I might not have all this stuff, but if I'm secure, I'm good.
Let me ask you a question off that, because I feel like sometimes in life, because I'm almost in that way too, right? I wake up and I don't sometimes have a care in the world. You know what I mean? I do my job.
Right.
My job is pretty simple and whatnot. Like today, I could have chose to sleep all day if I wanted to, or do nothing. You know what I mean? Like I like those things. But do you feel like sometimes that the lack of, let's say, drama in our lives can kind of make us kind of bored with our lives or complacent? Like, let's say everything is happy or whatnot.
So here's what's cool. I look at my life. I said this to my son many a times. I'm 44, and I have the really good, how do I say this? At 44 years old, which I don't think I'm that old, but I have the ability to say, I've done so much. If I drop dead right now talking to you, I've accomplished. I had times where I had so much money, I didn't know what to do with. I had times where I was so broke. I was in love. Like Sandy came with, she read something that's really good. I'm gonna send to you that we probably should mention on our next show. We're gonna mention the BigMike.LittleAnt show. I mean, the Sandy Anthony show, but she was talking about the 3 different loves. They said you fall in love 3 times in your life.
Hold on. I subscribe to that, but go ahead. I'm listening.
Right. So, so I feel like I had those different loves from being young, the drama love to the love I have now. I feel like I did so much that for me, I've had drama in my life, right? So I feel like where I am right now, I'm secure because I've seen so much in my past. That's what makes me secure. I'm not missing out on. I know what life could be like if I had so much of this. I know what life could be like if I had so much of that, right? And so I'm so secure because I've had it all. I did it all. Now, that's not to say I don't want to be wealthy anymore, right? I just feel like right now in my life, I want this stable life as my daughter's in high school. And when my daughter graduates and I move to Florida, then you're going to see like, oh man, Anthony's doing this, he's doing that. Then you're going to see like a bunch of different things in my life and me aspire to do this and do that because I'm going to no longer have kids. So right now I'm coasting. I'm like, I'm coasting while my only stress is my daughter, making sure she's doing her schoolwork and everything. So so to answer your question, for me, it isn't because of lack of drama, because I had so much drama in my life that yeah.
So you're saying you experienced, right, been there, done that. So it's kind of nice to get to a place to where you are coasting.
Yes, that's why security for me. That's why for me I could read all those things and say I did all of that, right? So right now I know that security feels really good, you know, like, you know, me leasing my vehicle. I know it's not going to break down every day, you know, like my old car. Like, so I love security. Like security is something that I look forward to because it's,
I kind of agree. I feel like some people, and you got to watch those people, but you know, they can't function without chaos, right? You know what I mean? And that, like, even though they like having things good, but they're the type that needs to have, they like to be able to have bad to get good, or to have broken to fix, but they can't have just fixed the whole time and whatnot. Kind of like how they said, go back to Marvel, right? Full circle, right? They said Captain America needs a war to function. It's not a war. What the hell is he doing?
He's lost.
You know what I mean? Right. That's what I'm saying. So, and some people need that. You about to say something? Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I mean, I've had my fair share of drama. I mean, I used to host the original Now Your Mama's things was all about drama. Like I literally host a Facebook page where it was just drama. I had topics every day, Sex Talk Tuesdays, Get It Together Friday. I had like drama. I called myself the Jerry Springer of the internet. I had people mad at me like, oh, I'm not friends with somebody because of your stupid show. And like, and I'm laughing like, you shouldn't have been on there. Take responsibility. Like I had my drama. I knew I had life where I couldn't function without drama, you know?
Okay.
So I'm telling you, I used to make a lot of money at one point in time, like, you know, where I had less bills, right? So here's the thing about wealth, right? Your wealth is really only based off of what you have to pay out, right? I could be making $5 an hour, but if I live at home with my parents and everything's taken care of, I could be surviving, right? I can make $100,000 a year, but if my bills almost exceed that $100,000, then I'm going to be stressing out. So, you know, so it's just because I've been there, done that.
Yeah, that's how I feel too. Like I've done so much and had so much. It's kind of nice to just be like, I can get off work and not have to worry about the drama, you know.
Yeah, and you're still young, so it's cool that because what you almost, when you say you want to see the future, you almost have that, right? Because you have so much knowledge at a younger age. Everything that comes to you, you're going to be able to make a better educated guess, because that's all life is, right? So you're going to be able to say, you know what? I'd rather go left and not right, because when I was younger, I would have went right. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Kind of when we talk about the Poetic Charm show, like some of the other panel members, shout out to Poetic Charm on our playlist, but are talking about what ifs, where you and I are looking at like we kind of been there, done that. Right. So we understand.
What really it's like, I don't have to go into this what I live that what if. You know what I'm saying? I know what's on the other end. Like, you know?
Right. Yeah. I find it interesting because like people don't, like, you gotta watch out for those people, and I guess they have telltale signs, but I really noticed, like, for example, with Brittany, right, who you know, or whatever like that. For her, I think she needed drama and chaos to function. If things were just great the whole time, then it wouldn't work for her or whatnot. She needs like a problem to have a solution or whatnot, and I don't really subscribe to that anymore in my life or whatever like that. So, but anyway, moving on forward, man. The versus questions.
Woo!
I like that announcement for me. I'm gonna do that every time from now on. But yeah, followed by a little slick Rick Woo. All right, so it's up to you. You got 1 through what do you got? 15 here.
You know, it's crazy. I don't know why, but I know my two numbers. I'm gonna pick the same number I picked for the first number I picked 2 weeks in a row. Give me number 9.
You want this number 9. All right.
I know. What's up with me and number 9?
Let me make sure that I actually rearranged it or whatever.
Okay.
1 second. Yeah. I'm sorry. I got so much stuff. I'm like you. I got so much stuff that I save on my phone. Oh, here we go. BigMike.LittleAnt versus question. All right. I didn't rearrange that, but that's fine. Now we'll make this 9 now. All right. Driving in a car with no AC in the summertime versus driving in a car with no radio. Now, keep in mind, you don't. This is taking it says that you don't have a phone that can play things too. So driving the car silent versus driving in the car with no AC in the summertime.
So here's what's weird, and not weird, but dude, I was cheap, and I grew up hearing that the AC would make you burn more gas. So I didn't start using my AC till like probably 10 years ago. I'm gonna be honest.
Oh wow.
With you. Maybe worse than that.
You had them kids burned up in the car, huh? Go ahead.
Them kids was burned up. You better roll that window down. So I could easily, you know, I was always the guy driving, even when I lived in Florida, like I'm driving with the windows down, you know, I was never an AC guy. Plus, when I start to get cold, I'm like, it bothers me. Like even recently in the summertime, I jump in the car with my wife and it's all cold. Like she picked me up for work a couple of times when my car was messed up and it's all cold. I'm like, yo, what the hell, man? I'm like, I guess you're really showing your white side today, huh? She's like, what? Hilarious. Yeah, for real. Like, yo, I don't like the cold that much. So I would easily roll the windows down and then just live. But then here's the bad thing. Not the bad thing, but I don't really listen to the music anymore. I'm not into music anymore. So the funny thing is I listen to news on the radio, you know? So, you know, so lack of music, we could throw that out the window too. But I would prefer to listen to something on the radio before having the AC on. I could go without an AC. I could go the rest of my life without having the AC in the car, like easy.
Yeah, I think it's more parameters than I think it depends on how long the trip is. That's number one, as well. I think it's got to do with it too. But I also think that I think the age changes things for me or whatever like that. I think I probably could have went weirdly without having nothing playing when I was younger. But now, like, I'm so used to listening to a podcast, not even music, a podcast really, or something while I'm driving. Like when I don't have one to play, like you hit me up, like I just to listen to whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like it feels weird.
Yeah, because that's me. Like if I'm not listening, and here's the thing: I listen to the podcast you make. Food for the Culture, Poetic Charm. I listen to those stuff, and when I don't have it, then I listen to the news. So it's funny. If I have something to listen to, I'm going to listen to the podcast. So yeah, but I don't listen to music though, you know?
No, me either, but I gotta have something. I couldn't be silent though, or whatever like that. Like that would like even when I used to leave Cellular every day, like I made sure I had something up to play, you know, back and forth every single time I would go to work and whatnot. So yeah, I don't know if I could do it silent and whatnot, but I probably could just, I don't know, man. I'm like you, man. Like I guess I didn't grow up privileged like other people, so my mom was like that. Yo, don't turn the AC on. It's gonna burn the gas or whatever like that. Same thing in my house. We had fans. I don't remember having ACs in the summertime when I was a kid. Stuff like that, like inside the house.
Speaking of that, this is funny. So every year, a friend of mine's put on Facebook a while ago, like, oh, I'm not turning the heat on until blah, blah, blah. I said, I bet you turn the heat on before me. Because every year I'm the guy that I'm with these kids, you better put a sweater on, heated blanket. But then this year I said, you know what? This year I told the adults, give me an extra $20 in the rent. And then I'll turn the heat on earlier. I even crank it up a little hotter so you'll be even warmer because every year I dread the winter more and more. So I said, you know what? Then I'm not gonna be the one paying all the money for it then. So if you guys give a little more, then it could be warmer in here. And one day my daughter came home, my oldest daughter, she's like, man, I thought we was in a rich person house. It was so hot in here, like in the wintertime, like, oh man. And I was like, I mean, you know, then I just got to monitor it because now people be having fans on. I'm like, all right, they ain't listen. I ain't turning the heat up, and now you got a fan on because it's that hot. No, we haven't, you know.
Yeah, this is hilarious, bro. Like you, but I think because of how we grew up, like our people didn't turn the AC. First of all, there was no AC. I'm sorry, I don't want to miss it.
First, yes, thank you. It was only fans. Let's get that
right. Let's get that part clear. Like never did we have AC, and the heat, it definitely came on late and stuff like that. But it's funny because that reminded me of the show The Goldbergs, which I watched, where like the dad is like in control of the whole the temperatures, and if he sees it off, he's like, who tested like that. That reminds me of the how you are.
So that's what would be like. Let me show you something since we're talking about this. I don't know how this came up. You know what I bought yesterday? I just bought this last night. Still in the package. I bought a new thermostat. I could check this with my phone.
That's
I can
hilarious.
make sure. I'm just saying. But yeah, so I got to install that later. Video will be coming.
So if you come in the house and it's on, it's warm, you're like, yo.
Yeah, like I used to be mad a lot because sometimes the kids, like, they'll just turn the heat up higher than I want it to be. I'm like,
Right.
No. But now now that I'm getting people to pay an extra $20, I actually put it up like it's high enough to where I won't have that issue. Like people are like, oh man, like people are more like, oh, it's a little too warm. So now I'm like, all right, let me find the right, right spot. Because plus what I did is I subscribed to the equal payment plan this year. So PSE&G have, where like your bill will be a lot lower. It'll be the same amount every single month because they do mathematically what you did for the last year. Yeah, the average. Now, if you go over, then when your equal payment plan ends, when it makes its 1 year anniversary, then it'd be extra. And I've did it in the past where, you get a surprise where it's an extra $500 because that's what the extra was. You wasn't, but
yeah,
to have a cheaper bill every month, it makes sense, and to be warmer. Because I like even now, my old thermostat, it said the batteries was dying and I had turned it off. So when I got changed the batteries and it's not coming on. I'm like, what the hell? So I've been saying I want to buy a new one for a while. So I was like, you know what? Let me go buy a new one and I'll install it. But you see me, I end up putting my thing on because we got no heat on right now at all. Like the heat isn't on. So I was like, all right, it's getting kind of cool.
Yeah. It's funny because not to go on this go like that. But when I went to Baltimore with my Kia a few weeks ago, my birthday weekend and stuff like that. So when we left, that entire week or before, it was still kind of, warm. So I had nothing on and whatnot. I hadn't turned my heat on yet for the year. It's October, 21st, 22nd or whatever like that. So that weekend, while we were going, the temperature dropped. So I had no heat on and my windows were a little bit cracked. It was warm that whole week. Bro, my apartment was freezing
I can imagine.
back here and stuff like that. So I had to turn it on, but it took hours to get warm because it wasn't on while things were kind of freezing and whatnot like that. So yeah, it definitely like time of the year is very interesting with that whole thing and whatnot. But anyway, moving forward, what's your next number, bro?
Number 1.
We ever do that one? I don't think we did. Wow, number 1's been sitting here forever. So you never picked number 1, whatever like that. So it's kind of back to the car situation. But would you rather have free gas or free groceries or a life?
Wow. Right. Well, here's what's unfair. I don't do the cooking. I don't do the shopping either.
You do eating?
I do the eating, but I guess so what it comes down to is if I had free groceries, you would think free groceries is going to be cool because you always have food in the fridge and it's going to save you money, right?
Right.
But that's not, I don't pay for that. My wife does.
Okay.
But I pay for my gas every day and she works from home. So she barely even have to pay for gas. So I feel like, but I got to pay for gas on a regular because I drive to go to work every day. Yes. So for me, it just makes sense if I pick free gas for the year. That's like a bill that be taken off of me. Whereas on the other side, again, that's because of my situation. Now, in other ways, it would make more sense for food, right? Like imagine if food was taken care of, right? But for me, again, she pays for it, I don't.
Right.
And I pay for gas. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So
I wonder what she would think, not now, but when she was driving to work,
she would say food. I would like to think people would say food, right? If your food, think about it. Gas is just so normal. You drive in your car, you got to pay gas, whatever. And it's funny too. I know people who still, again, people may do this. People will be like, oh, how much it costs me in gas. I don't even look. It's just gas, dude. It's gas. I mean, you can't not get it, right? So I just go and be like, fill me up regular. Then I just drive off. I never, ever even know how much gas costs. It can't be but so much, right? And and I got a smaller car now that's better in gas. So when I first got the car, I was just going, oh, give me 20, but I'm a fill up the tank guy. But again, it's a necessity that you need. So I don't even look at it. I don't even know the last time I got gas, I have no clue how much it even was. I just fill it up and drive off.
And everybody's different with that. So I think for me, like, okay, I can't go my situation today, obviously, because I've worked from home for the last 7 months or whatever like that. But it depends. Like I remember I worked in Somerset, New Jersey. It was almost like an hour, 10 minutes, something like that. Up there back and forth. And it was a lot of like It wasn't all highway. It was a lot of like slower roads. It was a lot of gas, bro. I was probably spending, a good $60 a week in gas, right? So that's probably what, 240, 250 bucks a month in gas. I don't even know if I was spending 250 bucks a month in groceries at that time.
Right.
I'm by myself. You know what I mean? Who knows? So it's very interesting to think about it like that. But it's tough. But I probably would, like you said, go with the food. To know what I always have food in my refrigerator. Also, gas prices don't, now this makes another caveat. Gas prices vary. So remember at one point, it was like, I don't know when it was, but remember gas like really, really crazy?
Yeah.
It was like $3, $4 a gallon or whatever like that. And I was like, probably back that time I would have took the gas, honestly. Right now, when it goes between that 2 and 250 mark, where's that right now?
It's reasonable.
It's reasonable, stuff like that. So I'll probably go with the food, but I think the price of gas and how far you travel definitely plays a part. But yeah, like you said, to always have food in my refrigerator, will pay a big difference. Now, also remember back in the day when I first got my license, all that stuff, when gas was like, you can get like $5 and be good for the whole day. Like it was like, crazy. You remember those fives or whatever when it was crazy cheap. So I would definitely go with the food back then. But even right now, I would still go with the I would go with the food. So
yeah,
that's number one. So hey, we're done. That is our show.
That's our show.
It's been a beautiful show, man. I think because we were gone for a couple weeks, we just have a lot to talk about, but definitely appreciate you guys watching and listening. We also got this week, Beyond the Trenches came out earlier this week. There's a new one coming out this week. It should be a special show, so I won't say anything yet, but please tune into that. Everything that we do is also on the playlist as well. Do you put your reviews on the playlist as well too, right? Or
yeah.
No?
Yeah.
So the last review you did is on the playlist. You have another one coming out for Freaky, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Which I'm dying to see that because I want to see that movie. But either way, man, it's been a great show. Again, please like, comment, and subscribe. Anything else to say, left, Ant?
I usually mention a playlist, man, but you honed it in. You mentioned everything. So yeah, guys, just do exactly what Big Mike said. We are here. We're not going nowhere. We'll be coming out with another video, more content. I mean, it's amazing all the different stuff we have on this channel as well. So yeah, thank you very much. Stay tuned.
For that, I'm Big Mike.
And I'm Little Ant.
Out.